Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Mailed Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and Matt is not here. Matt is actually away for the weekend, so he is missing out this week. Not to worry though, he will be back for another discussion that we'll be having in the next couple of days, based on a movie that may or may not have come out that me and Connor already saw, but we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it during this show.
I guess not.
We're not talking about Justice League. It's not happening. So, positive, negative.
It's a movie. It exists.
You don't even know what we think yet. Or you do if you go and see my Twitter. But you don't know.
You don't know what I think. I've got plenty on Twitter.
For visual audio. Yeah. But yeah, Connor's here, as I implied.
How is it, even when Matt's not here, I still get last billing?
Because I find something else to talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like addressing the elephant in the room that we're not going to talk about Justice League, as in the movie. We're talking about the comic book, because more than that in a minute. But I feel like that was more important than introducing you.
I'm not sure you're wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm really wrong.
I mean, you're often wrong. Just maybe not on this.
I'm never wrong about you.
Occasionally.
No, I'm never wrong about you. I'm fairly positive on this. So yeah, we talk about DC Comics, and what we're talking about this week, we have The Batman Who Laughs, #1. We have Justice League 33, which is the final part of the Bats Out of Hell crossover from DC Metal. We have Batman 35, Superman 35, Green Lanterns 35, Nightwing 33, Batwoman #9, Super Sons #10, Aquaman #30, and Connor has decided that this week is his week of the month, where he has his Connor's Corner, which is going to be Red Hood and the Outlaws #12, which for anyone who doesn't know, that is a Patreon tier on our Patreon over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where someone pays to pick a comic book that Connor has to review during the month on Comics from the Multiverse. There's 4 slots, one of them is filled, and that slot is filled by someone, David specifically, who wants him to read Red Hood every month. And
because David is evil.
And #12 is what he's on next, because obviously Connor wasn't reading it for a few months because he didn't want to read it. He's just now been forced to read it, and it's kind of glorious and amazing. So, ta-da!
I have thoughts.
You have thoughts? Oh, interesting. It's funny. I'll warn you, I'm a little bit loopier than usual when we do this show, because we're recording this later than normal, which is mainly Connor's fault. It's a kind of a knock-on effect. It's Matt's fault because he's not here, but because Matt wasn't here, Connor said, "Oh, that means we don't have to do it at the usual time. I'm going to go to the movies."
Well, this is it. I wanted to see Justice League so that I can have an opinion on Justice League, and it was today or
a week.
Probably quite late next week.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to wait that long to have an opinion.
Yeah, at least now there's a chance.
There's
a chance you can join me and Matt for the actual podcast
there is,
episode
yes,
about it.
A little bit more scheduling permitted, but it's possible.
Which would not have been possible had you not waited to see it today. So no, that's fair. But just in case you're wondering why this is up later than usual, because it will be up a few hours. I mean, usually it's up by now. We actually starting to record this just after typically when it goes online. So that's why I did put out a tweet on the at DC Comics podcast Twitter. But if you don't follow Twitter, you wouldn't have seen that. So I'll just, you should follow it, because I put out occasional updates.
You get important updates like that, yeah.
Yeah, just letting you know. Yeah, it's going to be late tonight, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's coming. So yeah, so that's the thing. Before we get to that, though, we have news. We have one bit of news, which is funny because you mentioned it last week.
I did.
I had like 3 news stories for you last week, and you said, "Oh, what about this one? Shouldn't we know about this by now?" And I think we were mistakenly thinking the solicits were going to be this week, but they're actually next week. So, and because they always put all their early things out the week before the solicits, that's why we thought that. However, this month they've done something different. They've put out them 2 weeks in advance, and then the week before they've put out one thing.
See, that's what's throwing me. I'm just trained to go, oh, here's some early stuff. Guess solicits are next.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the Liam Sharp book that we've known a little bit about. We knew it was going to be Batman and Wonder Woman, and that was pretty much it. But we actually have the title for it now, and we have there wasn't like an official synopsis per se. It was more just there was an interview with Liam Sharp, and I've got a little bit of it here just to say what it is. So it's actually going to be The Brave and the Bold. We're relaunching that title. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. I wonder if that means we're going to get more Brave and the Bold miniseries after that with different
because this is Brave and the Bold : whatever the rest of the title is.
Yeah, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Is it
Right.
just Batman and Wonder Woman?
I don't know. There was never like a point where it said this is the title. It's just they just said it's using Brave and the Bold as the title. So
Yeah.
I asked, it's probably Brave and the Bold, Batman, Wonder Woman, or maybe it's just Brave and the Bold, but you can tell from the logos that it's Batman, Wonder Woman. I don't know, but that's what we're getting. So it's 6 issues. It'll bring elements of Irish and Celtic mythology to Wonder Woman's mythos and the DC universe at large. And Brave and the Bold, I think it's just Brave and the Bold. Just the way they've said it there. I think it's just Brave and the Bold, but you can just tell by...
I think on Twitter people were using the colon, which is why I'm maybe getting confused.
Maybe that's the full title, but people are just shortening it to...
Yeah, could be. At least while there's only one of them at the minute.
Yeah. Wonder Woman will enlist Batman's help to investigate the death of a Celtic god, so she needs his detective skills, so they team up.
This excites me. I like Irish mythology quite a bit. Quite a lot of fascinating stuff.
Leprechauns? Do you like leprechauns?
I could take or leave leprechauns, I'll be honest.
Okay.
They're a bit close to home.
Because they're ginger?
Yeah.
Okay.
pretty much. I've had enough leprechaun jokes over the years.
Have you ever
Especially when it gets to Paddy's Day and I wear green because it's Paddy's Day.
Yeah, but have you ever actually dressed as a leprechaun for either Halloween or St. Patrick's Day?
I haven't. I probably should because it'd be really easy.
Get a nice green hat.
I mean, I've worn the green Guinness hats that they give out on Paddy's Day, and I've been wearing a green shirt. So, I mean, kind of, but not intentionally being a leprechaun.
Get a little nice pot, fill it with some gold coin. Get those chocolate coins that have got gold wrapping on them, and put them in the little pot.
That's not bad. That's bad. Yeah.
Have your pot of gold.
I could see it. Yeah.
And try and do an Irish accent for the day. I don't know.
I can do one sentence.
What's the one sentence?
It is the line from Father Ted's Christmas episode. This is going to go atrociously now. It's the biggest lingerie section in Ireland. It's really hard with headphones on as well.
I think anyone else on the planet, you say do an Irish accent, the thing that'll come out of their mouth is top of the morning to you. Like they'll say that.
Yeah. That's not my trigger phrase.
That's not your trigger phrase. Okay.
No, everyone's got a different trigger phrase for different accents. Yeah, it's true.
Oh dear. So now I'm down with this. Liam Sharp is obviously doing the art, but he's also writing this. I have no idea what his writing is like.
Yeah, arguably that's the biggest concern that you can have going into this, is that he's untested in writing as far as we're familiar with him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's got some good writing out there that we've just not discovered. But as far as we know, this could go completely in any direction in terms of writing quality.
Past experience in terms of great artists taking on writing duties have not necessarily always gone well.
Well, Sean Murphy's doing an okay job right now.
Yes,
So
but then you've got someone like Tony Daniel.
yeah, who's better off at the art? So he sticks to that. But then you've got someone like Frank Miller started as an artist.
Yeah.
So obviously there's precedent for it. I feel
There
like
is. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm just saying that it could go either way at this point.
yeah, it's completely open. So hopefully it's good. I mean, I like the idea, the premise of the story. So.
I know he's made a point of saying that this is a continuation of what was going on in the Rucker run for Diana.
Ah, that's nice. That's hopefully picked up some skills then when he was working with Rucker. He was reading all his scripts and doing all that.
I wonder how tightly Rucker scripts things. Like, was it a bit more open and letting the artist kind of be the storyteller, or was it very tight? I don't know his workflow.
I wonder. I'd have to imagine that when an artist is going to write their own script, that they'll leave it fairly, because they'll just know what they're doing anyway, so they don't have to necessarily direct the artist.
There'll be no directions, of course. So it'll be more just this is what needs to be on this page, and kind of maybe a rough idea of maybe this sort of layout, but obviously that could change because they've got all the power.
But no, should be curious. I like the fact that the Brave and the Bold title's back. It's been missing for a while.
I agree. I think it excites me going forward as well, because I'm looking forward to this 6-issue mini. But once we get that, can we use the title and get some different pairings? Keep it as almost an ongoing, but just a collection of 6-issue stories with different people.
Yeah, you can almost say it's an anthology book where it's a different arc every, different team of characters every arc. I get why they didn't announce that though, because if it bombs, then they get to just not even have to cancel it. It's just done.
It
and they
is,
can
yeah.
just
And
wipe it away.
I don't blame them. I think this is a smart move. Introduce it, go, no, this is what this is. Make it very clear. And then if it works, do another one.
Ah, easy enough. So that's the news this week. Yeah.
Yeah, the two images that he's put out with it are gorgeous. So
Very pretty. He tweeted out a couple of images. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, very good. So that's all the news comic book wise. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of Justice League movie news with box office estimates lowering as the weeks went on, but we'll save that. Basically, for the Justice League discussion, we'll do that on our movie show 1.21 gigawatts. But so if you're on YouTube, you watch these on YouTube. That's easy enough to find. You'll just see it go up probably late Monday or sometime Tuesday. If you're on the audio feed for this, it will also be in the audio feed for the comics podcast. I've done that in the past. I did that with Wonder Woman back in May or whatever that was, or June, I think it was.
it was June.
I did that then. Like I put that in there, so it'll be on the movie feed as well. But it'll be.
Here's the only thing I will say about watching Justice League. I had a very comfy seat.
I would have bleeped that if he actually said anything about the movie. I want you to know that. I would have bleeped it.
The only reason I did that is so Pete has to go, what's he going to say? Is he going to ruin something?
Okay, so we have comics to discuss, and we will be starting with the last of the Dark Knight's one-shots, the Dark Batman. This is The Batman Who Laughs #1. James Tynion the Fourth writing, Riley Rossmo on art. Rossmo, of course, he did the Batman Shadow miniseries recently, and that was kind of notable to me because it had all the same traits of that art. Even the coloring, it was like identical. Again, the only complaint I had with the art was the really short years on Batman, which is the exact same complaint I had in that miniseries. So I will say that. So I think the first thing to say about this one shot is it's dark as shit.
It is, yeah.
It's dark as shit. And I'm just remembering, I've reminded myself that Matt did send me his top 5 and stuff. So when we get to that later on, remind me to go.
Is that all he said? Did he give any thoughts on individual books?
Because he's on a trip, he just sort of messaged me his top 5 and his picks. He didn't give me the little paragraph for each one or anything like that this time.
But, just so I know if I need to remind you every time.
No. But we're good till the end. But just remind me at the end that he's also said in his. So, because I've not got it up ready, but it'll be quick to get to, so it's fine. So yeah, dark as shit, and I'll take some points for my guesses here. It's not because obviously I guessed really specifically that it was the Batman who killed the Joker at the end of the Killing Joke. I went really specific and said, oh, that's what it is. And obviously I was wrong about the Killing Joke, but the part I did get very right, of course, is the fact that this is the Batman who gives in and kills him.
Yeah.
So I got that element right, and I like that because it's all of them have been about loss. Every single one of these Batmen who've went dark, they've all lost someone, and I like the idea that this is the Batman who literally loses himself because he gave in and did it. I
agree. I think it's a great idea. I think the only reason they didn't use the Killing Joke one is just to keep that aspect of ambiguity. They don't want to confirm either way. So this just is easier.
Oh yeah, I don't think that would have been a problem because I don't feel like
like people would have complained.
I feel like had they done it, I wouldn't have said, oh, that means the Killing Joke was always in that universe and that's how it ended. Like to me, the Killing Joke would still be ambiguous because the whole thing for me with these dark multiverses is that it's the idea that one choice was made in our world and then the opposite choice was made in the dark multiverse. So to me, it confirms that it's the opposite that happened in our regular Batman stories. But
either way, though, people don't want a confirmation. So it's just safer to avoid it.
People be dumb. So what honestly, my only complaint about this issue is the fact that Joker releases this gas that makes Batman kind of turn into him.
That's my problem as well. I think it would have been. It loses some of its effectiveness with it being.
It's too easy. I feel like I'd preferred if they'd had some time jumps and it was actually Batman. Just because he killed him, he slowly deteriorated and went crazy naturally, rather than
because that's the first thing he says after it happens. It's like, no, this isn't the start of a slippery slope. I'm good, and I think I'd have enjoyed this so much more if it had been like, this is why Batman doesn't kill. This is what happens.
Yeah.
This is how he ends up.
And arguably, can you fit that in one issue? I mean, maybe it felt rushed. Maybe that's the sort of thing where you say, "Oh, Batman Who Laughs" could have been a 3-issue mini instead of just one issue, because to explore that in depth, you need the time. Hell, I'll give it 6 issues, whatever whatever it would be. Now, it does give some of the darker moments a real shock value because they kind of come out of nowhere almost.
It does, yeah.
So I'll give it that. I like this show a lot. It's just the fact that they kind of accelerated the whole thing with this gas to actually make him go evil.
I do think I like everything that it's doing except that I think it undermines the idea of Bruce losing himself.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't. Joker just beats him. In a way.
Yeah. So the idea is there, but it's kind of undermined. But you can kind of just ignore it if you want to just look at the themes and look at what you want to like about it. So he has so Superman's talking to him and he's like, okay, right, so all these people have been infected with the Joker gas and we're going to have to try and figure that out. And he's like asking him like, so hey, you okay? And he's like, what, because I killed Joker? Don't worry, it's not a slippery slope, as you said. It's just like, I'll be fine. I'm not going to become what he wants me to become. He's not winning that way. But then he laughs at a really inappropriate moment.
Yeah, I think Superman says one of the kids tried to bite the psychologist's throat out.
Yeah, because Superman says he's going to give them the treatments because he's he can't get hurt because of that, and then Batman just kind of gives this little snicker out.
He just does a ha.
He's like, oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't funny. And we cut some time later, and he's in the cave, and it's all the like Nightwing, Batgirl, the Robins. They're training.
I think this is another little problem. It's only 3 days later.
Yeah, but which if it wasn't the gas, that could have been like 6 months later, or something. Take your pick. But it's 3 days later. They're in the cave and they're training, and Batman gathers them all around it. I've called you all here today because I need to tell you something. And he explains the gas. He explains that Joker intended whoever killed him to go become him, to go crazy and become him.
Be the replacement.
Yeah.
It's kind of the one part of this I do like is it's the reversal of Batman's thing. Batman's whole is like, his legacy, the Bat lives on. And, there'll always be a Batman in Gotham. And this is the same thing for Joker. It's like, no, there's always going to be one of me around.
Yeah, so it's not a reversal so much as it's the same thing.
Yeah, a reversal in the sense that it's, they're opposites.
Sure. But he's like, okay, so I'm telling you all this, and like Barbara and Deck are like, oh no, we'll help you through this, Bruce. We'll do this. We'll do it as a team. We'll figure this out. And then Batman's like, yeah, but I asked you here because you'll notice there's something wrong before anyone else will. And then you turn the page, and there's this full page spread of Batman pulling out some machine guns and just mowing down the Bat family with a sick smile on his face, and it is so disturbing.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. I mean, where's Tim? But
he's in the scene.
Is that Tim then, or is okay? So where's Damien then on this world? Has that just not happened yet?
No, Damien was there too. What are you whinging about?
No, I'm looking at it. There's only 4 of them. There's Jason
in that page,
Dick,
but they're all in that scene. They're all in that scene before that.
No, they're not. I'm looking at it now. It's Tim. You're right. I'm just misremembering. I saw the Robin suit and forgot.
Let me go and check the page. I need to prove him wrong now. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. I'm sure someone referenced him. Maybe I'm just misreading it because... Okay. Yeah, because someone calls him Robin and then they refer to him as Red Robin later. So I think I assumed there was 2.
Yeah, I think that's what threw me.
So I thought there was 2 characters. You're right. It's just... So there's no Damien.
Yeah. Weird.
I don't know, maybe they just decided they didn't want to see Batman shoot a 13-year-old.
Yeah, I guess I think it would have added to the darkness of him killing his own son.
Oh, sure, but maybe just from an editorial point of view, they said, no, that's too far, we're not letting you do that.
Could be.
It could be that simple. Then you turn the page, and he's basically killed the entire Justice League except Superman. They're on the Watchtower, and they're all just lying there dead. Superman's in pain. He's like, oh, why have you done this, Bruce? And he brings Lois and John up to the Watchtower, and it's like, oh dear, this is bad. And he gives Clark some specifically designed black kryptonite which he mentions that he gave to Supergirl to test, to do a test run, and Supergirl killed her entire family before she ended up dying. And you obviously don't see it. It's all kind of off panel. You just hear Lois say, "Clark, John, get behind me." Like you can hear Lois try to protect John from Superman.
Yeah.
And you see the smile, the laughter. It's like, it's funny because you think that scene with the Bat family is really dark, and it is really dark. But then you get to this scene and it actually tops it. It gives you one of the darkest Batman moments that I've ever seen, and then in the next scene it immediately tops it.
It is, yeah. And I love the body horror of how all the Justice Leaguers are drawn. Yeah, Martian Manhunter is like, he's all stretched, his head's up there, his body's ripped in like two. It's great. You got, Plastic Man hanging and threading around, and
which, by the way, I mean, we've not seen Martian Manhunter in a long time.
I know. And you've even got a couple outside just choking out in space. You got Hawkman out behind the window, and it looks great.
Yeah, give me Martian Manhunter, you bastards. I want Martian Manhunter.
Not completely dead like this.
Yeah, not completely dead, obviously. So, but the real intrigue is, so he's like, oh, I'm going to bring more dark things from the rest of the Dark Multiverse, and we see like demented versions of a bunch of characters. We see a monstrous Superman, we see a Flash who's got like a spider for a body, and there's an evil Martian Manhunter at the back. There's all sorts of demented looking things. But he's doing all this. He's actually telling all this story to someone mysterious, someone who's like got a bandaged face, that's chained up, has been obviously beaten and tortured and bruised, is bandaged from top to bottom, and we don't know who this is. Which I guess is the big question coming out of this, is who is this mysterious person? Who is he torturing and telling this story to?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be our Bruce, right? Our Bruce is elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I don't think, no, because this, from my understanding, this is in our Earth.
That's what I thought as well. I just went to, because I think that was the obvious one to leap to, is tell my story just to see this is what you can become.
Yeah, because Bruce is in the Dark Multiverse. We know he's there.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's options where, okay, is this someone he's brought from his world? It could be. But I feel like it's more likely to be someone from Earth Zero. Someone who resides.
I agree. I think it has to be someone who will see this and see the horror.
Is it Alfred?
Well, they wouldn't do this to Alfred again, would they? Alfred's been through enough.
I don't know. I feel like if he's going to tell a story to someone...
I get it, yeah. It would make sense.
I don't even think we can discern the gender, actually. Like, it's kind of... Like, you could tell me that was a woman. I mean, I'm kind of... It's plain enough that I assume it's a guy, but it really could be either.
It could be, yeah.
But no, it's dark as shit. But very
really is.
Demented. That final laugh he's like, oh, he's telling him that, a Batman who laughs is a Batman who always wins, because he's let go, he doesn't have his rules and whatnot. And he's just laughing dementedly at the end.
Yeah. I think that panel there where he's laughing is one of the best looking panels in the book as well.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that.
It's all the cheek flesh kind of rotting and being apart, the close up on it.
Yeah, it's the liquor / nemesis effect from Resident Evil. If you're familiar with those monsters and the designs. There's also one of the Cenobites from Hellraiser has this type of mouth. I'm just trying to think of different things that have this. Clearly Connor has no basis for comparison to any of these things, but some people out there might.
I'm sure they will.
So
I will say my only other criticism with the art is I think Bab's face looks really weird. And this is something that I saw a week or two ago as well. I can't remember what book it was in, but it was another one where I thought specifically her face just looked weird. It was just off. And I don't know what it is, something about her face that people are struggling with lately.
Is two a pattern or is two a coincidence?
I mean, two could be a coincidence. It was just in such short succession.
Yeah. Don't know. Any other guesses for who this mystery guest of Dark Batman is?
I really don't know. I'm trying to think who would have some weight and meaning, but so many of the people who spring to mind, we know where they are. They're already busy.
Which is part of me thinks it might be someone we've not seen in a while. That could be the reveal when we find out who it is. It's like, oh, that's where they've been like for all this time.
And if that's the case, though, who?
Yeah, I want to joke and say Connor Kent, but he doesn't make a lot of sense in this context.
No, it doesn't.
He doesn't.
Sorry, Matt.
It has to be someone who's related to the Justice League or related to Batman directly, I feel like.
Yeah, I want to say Batman just because this story is it's a story about Bruce Wayne. It's a story about Bruce losing himself. I think that has the most weight to someone who's on a personal level with Bruce, not just not just someone who's with Batman.
Gordon, maybe?
It could be Gordon.
I mean, that doesn't fit my we've not seen him in a while thing, but
it's plausible.
It popped out of my head. Who have we not seen it for a while who's related to Batman? Who's someone that's important to Batman that we've not seen in a long time? Maybe in Rebirth at all?
I don't know.
Are
we missing anyone? I don't feel like we're missing anyone major.
Is there anyone who, say, from a Justice League kind of point of view, that's been missing, who was close to Batman in some way?
Other than Martian Manhunter, I don't think so. But I don't buy that, obviously.
Nah, you'd expect green hands if it was him, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, a different shaped head, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. It's funny that it's introduced this mystery here because I feel like this is the sort of thing where they're probably going to reveal it in the main book now.
There's not really many other places they can reveal unless it's in another one of the one shots.
There is one more one shot.
Isn't there two?
What's the two?
So there's the Batman Found.
No, you mean Hawkman Found?
Hawkman Found. Isn't there one other that Morrison's involved in?
Oh yeah,
I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, it's out in like
but there
January,
is two,
February.
isn't there?
There's two. I was actually the Hawkman Found one I was forgetting. I was remembering the other one. But okay, yeah, it could be the Hawkman one. If it's maybe it's Hawkman.
Maybe it is. That would actually make sense because we know Carter Hall went missing. Following into this.
Yeah, that would make sense. And Kendra's so heavily involved that this would have a big moment for her if he unmasks and it's. Well, I don't know if unmask is maybe a bit of a broad term for
right, but the idea, Hawkman Found, that would actually play into the symmetry of the titles really nicely.
Yeah, it could be Hawkman. Could be.
It could be.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably my best guess at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going with that one.
Best guess at the moment, Hawkman. Okay, right. So we've solved it. It's fine.
Pretty confident.
We're good. So, I thought this was pretty solid. I think this is up there with some of the better of these one shots.
Also, it's top 3 for sure.
A couple of nitpicks, but I think the absolute the darkness, the levels of darkness that it hits are just so off the goddamn charts that you typically don't see, because I feel like you have to give that level of darkness. I feel like, Batman who's fused with the Joker, how dangerous is he? He has to be dangerous, or you feel like you've whiffed on the concept, because the concept itself, it demands a level of...
Especially as, the Batman Who Laughs has been such a presence in these books. He's kind of been, the leader of the armies. Yeah. He's kind of been the head honcho, and you really need to sell that.
Yeah, obviously, he's kind of like the right-hand man to Barbatos.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
And Joker gas undermining aside, I think they do a good job.
Yes. That'll take us on to Justice League 33, which is the final part of the Bats Out of Hell crossover for Metal. Joshua Williamson's writing, with Tyler Kirkham and Mikel Janin on art. So 2 artists, which...
I felt, not gonna lie.
It was a little bit back and forth. I don't think this is the thing. Obviously, I like Janin more than Kirkham, but I do like Kirkham as well. So it was kind of like a back and forth kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of those where I like both those involved, but I don't think they necessarily match up that well. So it did give me a jarring feeling, a disconnect when I was reading it. Yeah.
I will start this by saying I think it's easily the best of the 4 issues.
Agreed.
Of this, mainly because stuff finally kind of happened. And I'm actually really confident in saying that after I've read all 4, it should have been 2 issues, not 4. But
yeah, 3 at a push. If you do one to set it up, one of the one issue of them fighting their various counterparts.
Yeah, like two and three absolutely could have been condensed into one. No question.
Yeah, but one was still a bit of a mess anyway.
Yeah, so this leads to Cyborg. Cyborg ends up being kind of the linchpin of this little this crossover, where he's trapped. He's had his limbs ripped off, but in his head, the mother box that's part of his system is kind of talking to him and saying, "Hey, you could have way more power. Like, we can fight this, but you have to like get rid of all your previous data." And he's like, "Wait a minute, previous data? What, you mean me? Like, you mean my memories and my personality and all that stuff?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but like, you're irrelevant. Like, we can solve this." And it's just cold hard logic. And even though the cube's kind of on his side, it's kind of like, yeah, but
yeah, it's this idea of it's asking him to sacrifice himself in a way. It's like, hey, you give up being you, and we can save the world.
Yeah. However, this mysterious other voice starts to creep in. This, we get the wavy thought bubble kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, someone's talking in his head, and it's like, no, like, you're special because you've got heart. Your humanity is what makes you you. You can't do this. You can't give up who you are. So he's got this other voice, and it was kind of funny actually. It was almost kind of like the little devil and like angel on each shoulder. Almost. Yeah. That was kind of the vibe we were getting from it. And you see the rest of the Justice League that were fighting have all been tied up, and they're all making their dark plans. But the Alpha Protocol, which is Murder Machine's thing, turns off, and like, hey, what's happening? And I actually have to admit, I do actually really like Cyborg's like one-page spread of him. Like, he's reformed, like he's rebuilt himself new limbs with the power of the mother box and nth metal and whatever else he's got lying around. It looks pretty good.
It does, yeah. It's a really solid page.
I specifically like the lit up emblem on his chest.
Yeah, the way it kind of like the flames kind of coming out of it still.
Yeah, it's good. Admittedly, him shouting out, "Now you've got to deal with Cyborg 1 million, baby."
A little bit cheesy.
A little bit on the cheesy side. A little bit cheesy. Although I do think this. I do think this is the best written issue of the four as well. But I'll criticise that line.
See, that line was really cheesy, and then the rest of the issue kind of veers into going, oh no, let's embrace the cheese now. Let's embrace, it's the metal aspect of it. It was, and once it kind of got into it, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing again, I was fine with it. It was just that line that felt really jarring, this sudden change into it.
Yeah. Admittedly, as someone who knows absolutely nothing about American football, I feel like Cyborg could cool it on the analogies, please. That'd be nice.
I mean, I don't think you need to know anything.
I'm not gonna lie. When he said hike at the bottom of the next page, I legitimately, it took me a second to be like, hike? What the hell's he talking about?
Really?
Yeah.
I know as little about American football as you do, and I got it still.
Nah, it took me a second. Like, I know it. Like, I thought about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, right, okay, I know what that is, but it took me a second. Like, it never clicked right away. I was like, hike? What? Hike where? Where are we hiking to? Is he telling him to take a hike?
Maybe you should have done.
I don't know. But yeah, the whole thing's basically, yeah, but you fought us one-on-one, now we're a team, now we're the Justice League. It's kind of funny, actually, this came out the same week as the movie, because it's kind of like, no, this is the merits of being a team, this is the merits of being a united front. They kind of feel like that. You get that nice big double-page spread of them all fighting, really nice, big and epic.
Yeah, it's a great page.
Those are good stuff. My favourite stuff in this issue, though, is actually that we find out who the voice was in his head, who was talking to him. And it's actually Raven. Raven's been held, because obviously they captured the Teen Titans in the Suicide Squad recently, and that was in the first crossover. And they find Raven's in like a cage. It's almost like a psychic looking cage, because it's like made up of like a mental purple kind of energy.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, hey, it's you. And she's like, oh, please tell me you didn't give in and like lose yourself, because like I might lose hope if I didn't convince you not to do that. And honestly, I got some feels when they were hugging. That you turn the page and they're embracing each other. I'm like,
and I loved it. And my problem is in my head. I was going, this is why Cyborg belongs with the Teen Titans.
I agree. As soon as I saw them hug, I'm like, you know what? This is the most I've cared about Cyborg probably since the start of the New 52, and I think it's because he kind of belongs with Raven and the other.
Yeah, he has a
teammates.
History with those characters that he doesn't with the League.
This hit me way more than any of his other stuff, because, I mean, first of all, in this issue, he's not just a telephone pole, so that's good.
That helps, yeah.
But he has a history with her, and it actually was kind of touching when they embraced. It was kind of like old friends who've not seen each other in a long time because he's been off doing even though in this continuity he just went straight to Justice League. He was never in the Teen Titans in this continuity, but
yeah, it murkies this moment up a little bit, I guess.
But for us, it works. And I guess if you go back to that idea where it all really happened, they just don't remember it, and we've stole 10 years, but deep down they still kind of feel something. Kind of like how Tim's like, that name Connor's tugging at my heartstrings, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay,
there.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, that kind of thing. No. It's actually really old school at the bottom of that page where you've got like the 5 heads of the Justice League.
Yeah, it was.
It
was a nice touch.
Really old school. Joe, I like that this is like the next 5 members with Batman and Superman out of the equation who have to kind of do stuff on their own, and it's kind of like, no, they're still a really capable team without those guys. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, but it should still be Martian Manhunter instead of Cyborg.
It should be, but like I said, I liked him in this issue.
I did as well. I'm ragging because it's easy, because I'm still,
we miss Jean,
it's there.
Of course we do, but like. Actually, this is the most I've cared about Cyborg, like I say, in like 6-7 years. So you know what? Yeah. Good on you, Williamson. You did something.
Yeah,
good here.
They can have this one.
And I think a lot of it is his connection with Raven here, and I like that Raven's been brought into this. I like that Raven's now a big deal because Cyborg basically gets them out of Dodge. He's like, okay, Barbatos is coming, boom tube time, and he takes them to hyperspace. Hypertime, sorry. Hyperspace is a thing.
Matt would have killed you for that.
I didn't just make it up though. Hyperspace is a thing.
It is.
So it's a thing. Anyway, so yeah, takes him to hypertime, and Flash is like, "Hey, I've ran like alongside this, but we're just in it now. Like, what the hell, Cyborg? What have you done?" He's like, "Yeah, I got some upgrades, Miller box. We need more end metal." Now, if I'm going to critique this issue much, it's that we kind of end with everything back where we started, where they're all off on their own little missions to get their end metal. The only difference being is now that Cyborg's with Flash and Raven, but the other teams are kind of like, you've got... I don't know if this was the exact pairings. I think it was, though, because Deathstroke's
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Yeah, Deathstroke's with Aquaman, Terrific...
I still like the image of him riding the seahorses, though.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's nice. That's fine. You got Fate with Wonder Woman, and you got all these things going on, and it's fine. But I do kind of feel like, yeah, if you didn't read this, most of this almost like
feels irrelevant.
Yeah. The Cyborg teaming up with Raven, it almost feels like it could have just been a one shot of like Cyborg teaming up with Raven and finding her and like.
I agree. Stuff. I think the biggest thing I noticed with this is that the rest of the crossover was ultimately pointless. If this had been a slightly longer issue, but just one issue, and you start with the Justice League being captured, we don't need to see them fighting at all, because that adds nothing to the story.
Yeah.
All it adds, we just need Cyborg's perspective. We need, him knowing that they've all lost, and then they all come together anyway.
You don't need it, but I will say I'd be fine with having an issue of it, though. I think the fact that they dragged it out over 2 issues was the biggest...
It was rough, yeah.
And even then, the first issue setting it up didn't really need to be there entirely either, which is why I said I think 2 issues would have been perfect. I think 1 issue of they get captured, we see the fighting, and they're in a bad place, because I feel like issues 1, 2, and kind of 3 to an extent all ended with the same cliffhanger of, oh, we're captured and we're fighting. We're captured and we're fighting. Yeah. Oh no, we're captured again at the end of the 3rd issue. Like, they all kind of had the same ending to them. So... Like, I'd be fine with just a 2-issue thing, and like I say, it's kind of weird how most of the characters went back in place, so that if you're just reading the main Metal book, most of this doesn't affect anything. It's just the Cyborgs now get Raven with them, and Flash with them, and they're off to find some other source of nth metal. So that is the one thing that'll come out of this, where it's like, oh, you had to read it for that, but otherwise, probably not.
No, I agree, it's kind of weird, and... I think it's notable that the first and last issues of this crossover are Justice League. We could have left the other series out of this entirely.
Yeah.
Just had it as 2 issues in Justice League, and that would have worked better.
That would have worked. No, that's cool. And it's not to say there wasn't anything of merit in the other 2 issues. Like the Green Lantern fight last issue was kind of fun, but
it was fun, but it didn't add anything to the story.
Yeah. So yeah, Gotham Resistance was definitely a better tie-in crossover, although this last issue did add some merit to it, and I did really like Cyborg and Raven together.
I agree, and I like Cyborg at the end. His realization that he thinks he doesn't want to be a player, but he's meant to be a coach. And it kind of feels like, okay, maybe he will take a step back from the league as we know it, and maybe kind of go back to the younger generation and try and be one of the elders to teach them and bring them up.
I'd like that. I'd like that.
I would too.
I think that'd be a good role for him. I feel like they keep trying to do a solo book, and his solo book's like one of the worst selling DC books.
Yeah, it's not working. I think throw him back with a Titans team. Have him make his own Titans team if you really want. But him bringing in the younger generation.
Yeah, he would work with Titans. He would work with coaching the younger Teen Titans, or if you want to do Young Justice and have him let's say we do get Cassie and Connor back, and like Tim's maybe on that team as well. Like, did you put him with them because that's the more Johnsy Titans team. Like, have that be a thing. I don't know, whatever. But I think that's probably the best action. But I liked him here. I liked him with Raven. It was kind of like, oh yeah, I like this. I like them because they have history, and it works.
I agree. So. Yeah, and then we do have the moment at the end with Batman Who Laughs, kind of going, yeah, well, kind of let them go because now they'll spread the darkness.
Yeah, he implies that they're spreading it somehow with.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it's curious. He also mentions they'll be back because we still have some of their friends, so they're going to be back. Yeah,
I mean, it's hostage 101, isn't it? Get someone they care about. They'll do what you say.
Yeah,
or in this case, they'll do what you expect.
Although next time they're coming back with lots of nth metals, so they might actually have a chance.
This plan will likely backfire because it's a comic event, so that's kind of how it goes. But it's a fine plan on his part.
Okay, so that is the Batman Who Laughs. Sorry, that's the Justice League 33.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, it's not.
Well, Batman Who Laughs was there at the end of the book.
Yeah,
it was there smiling at me, so, brain fart. Anyway, I told you I was loopy. I told you I was doing this later than normal, alright? So we're just going to have to live with some of these mistakes. Anyway, that'll take us on to Batman number 35, Tom King writing and Joelle Jones on art. This is the end of this little arc where we've got Catwoman and Batman going to see Talia. They're going to find Holly. We ended last issue with the fight just about to start between Talia and Catwoman. Batman had kind of had the shit kicked out of him. Catwoman pulled a sword out of him to fight.
Which they never address. Not really.
Did they have to address it?
I don't know. I feel like that sword being pulled out of him probably did a lot of damage.
Yeah, he looks hurt. He's struggling to get up, and he's been helped out at the end. Like, that's enough.
Yeah, I guess.
That's literally never even occurred to me.
I don't know. Maybe it's just their basic first aid training. Is when you got something like that in there, leave it in. Don't pull it out. She just made it a lot worse.
This is just whiny bullshit, Connor. Come on now. It does not matter. It does not matter. You are critiquing something that does not need to be critiqued. How often does Batman get shot or stabbed on the regular basis? Answer's a lot. The answer is a lot if you're struggling over there.
I don't know if I'd say a lot. I can't remember the last time I saw him get stabbed.
It's frequent enough.
Fine.
My God, such a stupid complaint to her. This is a great issue. You're sitting over there whinging about swords not being addressed.
It is a pretty great issue. I will say, I don't think it was 800th issue great.
Oh, sure, yeah, that was clear with Action Comics. No, Superman. It was Superman, not Action Comics.
Yeah. And I think we had Wonder Woman as well recently.
Wonder Woman, yeah, that was the last issue. Wonder Woman was as well. Clearly, they didn't actually sort of plan around those. They just sort of went, oh, those happen to be the 800 or 700th issues. Let's give them a variant cover, acknowledging the fact that it's 700 or 800, and that was about it. So that said, though, fine. Out of all the issues, this is the best of those anniversary issues, just because it's a really good issue.
I agree. I think it's a great issue.
So, you take that for what it's worth. Obviously, Joelle Jones' art is fantastic. She is back later in the year, in December.
39 and 40, and I believe it's a Wonder Woman, or was it a Superman story? One of them.
Superman? I don't know.
I can't recall.
Why did you bring it up? Why did you ask me the question? You put us down a path here of no answers.
I feel like you should know these things.
Why should I know these things?
Just because. Be more informed.
I don't even know what the numbers were. You're the ones who brought them up.
Yeah, okay. It was on me.
Aye, so, yeah, don't start the path if you can't get to the finish line.
It was Wonder Woman.
All right, fine. It was Wonder Woman.
It's bugging me.
Doesn't really matter at this point. Talk about the goddamn issue. Stop complaining about swords.
But to be fair, a lot of this issue is swords. I mean, well, first 2/3 are swords.
Yeah,
I will say, Joelle Jones knows how to pace a sword fight. I think it's something in comics that is often lacking. Sword fights, I think, because some of the motion can be... There's very repetitive actions, swords, a lot of it. It's, the clashing together and then the moving apart. So often I feel like in comics when I see them, kind of feels stale after a few pages.
I actually would extend that to all media with sword fights in it.
That's fair.
I think sword fights are one of the most boring fights you can have in a movie.
Okay.
That's why I don't like pirates. I feel like the sword fighting is boring, so I never get into it.
I think the pirate sword fighting's pretty boring, yeah. But I think stuff in general, if you do it properly, I think can look great. But I think it's harder in comics because of the sense of motion between the actions that kind of builds it.
I mean, the actions in the fight's fine. For me, it's all about the dialogue. It's all about the...
the dialogue's right. I was just talking about, while we're on the art, I thought I'd praise that specifically.
It was all about the banter between Talia and Catwoman and the conversation about whether or not she's worthy for Batman, and does Talia see Batman as worthy? And Catwoman's like, what, do you think he's the best there is? He's not the best there is. And it kind of comes, it's this genuine attraction that Catwoman has for him, where it's, he's broken. He's this broken man. He's got this childhood fantasy where he wants to fight crime for the rest of his life, and I'm always going to be second to that. But you know what? I love him anyway. For some reason, this stupid man, I stupidly love him. And
yeah, it makes the relationship more real. There's no idolizing. There's no they're perfect for each other. It's no, this is realistic.
Yeah, it's just it's just not because of a reason. She just does. It's that simple, which is actually very realistic. Because most people don't love someone for a reason. It's just no. You just feel it, and that's it. And you can't explain it. You can't even control it. You just have to put up with the fact that you do. And you got that. Although, honestly, the show stealers, I think, of this issue are Dick and Damien, who are still sitting outside the entrance.
They're such a good pairing. Why have we not got a book with them?
It's coming.
It better be.
It's coming. Nightwing and Robin, especially after this conversation, because they're basically talking about, why do you think he did it, or why didn't he tell us, and they're a bit upset. And Damien hits out with, because he's Batman and I'm Robin, I should know. And Nightwing's like, what? Did you just say that out loud? Did the words just come out of your mouth? He's Batman and I'm Robin. It's like shut up, Dick. It's like, yeah, he should have told us. And hey, we should be partners. And he's like, would you stop talking, Dick? It's like, okay, sure, because I'm Nightwing and you're Robin.
Oh, it was killing me.
And he just keeps rubbing it in, and it was cracking me up so much. That said, I even like the ending, because after the whole fight goes down, I like that Talia actually, like when Catwoman finishes fighting with Talia, and she hold my sword for me, and she stabs Talia, and she goes over to talk to Holly, and that little moment when she's talking to Bruce, and she's like, "Hey, so this is your betrothed?" He's like, like, I like her. Yeah. And I kind of saw it going that way the whole time, where at the end Talia's just going to kind of respect her for holding her own, holding her own. But
I think it was the only way it could work and not feel cheap.
But it was still satisfying. But the moment I really liked at the end was, I don't get enough of Selina interacting with the Robins, and I feel like we might get more of it now if we're at least going through the motions of them getting married, or if they're going to be married for a while. Because I feel like her interacting with Damien could be nothing but gold.
Yeah, these last two panels are just fantastic in terms of that interaction.
Yeah, because he says, did you run into Mother, or what happened? And Selina just says, she stabbed your dad, so I stabbed her. And then he's just like, the more things change.
yeah, I think he's just, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I like it from an emotional point of view, because Dick says to Damien, it's like, Batman it's just, for the first time, he's actually trying to be happy, but it's one thing that he's really bad at, because he's a lot of things, but he's not selfish, and to be happy and to ask for something like this, it's asking that it's about him, and that's kind of the opposite of what he does.
I thought that parallels really nicely with Selina, who is being selfish. She is asking Holly to be, to come forward and own it so that she can be happy.
And it's a funny thing because it's like, well, yeah, it's nice that she's just asking and not demanding, but at the same time, Holly did murder 200 plus people, and she should own up to that because murder is bad, kids.
It is. Yeah.
Just for the record,
it's pretty bad.
But I actually, like, obviously we've loved how King's handled this Batman Catwoman relationship, and I feel like that this moment towards the end where Damian says to Batman, "Are you happy?" and he just looks at Sleed and says, "I'm getting there." Like, I actually, I feel a little heartstring tugged just a little bit.
It's moments like that that make me go, this relationship should exist. You know, like, because I think it's fair to question if we want this, you know, because there's the classic trope of, okay, once you force these characters into a relationship, is it going to be just a matter of time till it break up, or, you know, for the drama's sake, or does it get stale? But it's moments like this that go, no, this is worth doing.
It's actually one of my biggest complaints about comic book, not just comic book writers, but just writers in general. This idea that if you put a character in a relationship, if you marry a character, that then it's difficult to write for them. I don't believe that at all. I think it's just, I honestly think it's a lazy excuse because
I agree.
There is a plethora of things you can do with a married character. Like, obviously, the one that everyone always brings up is Spider-Man, because Spider-Man was married for X amount of years, and then they threw it away, and now it's like, no, he's never getting married again. We're not having that because you can't do interesting stories. Like, bullshit, you can't. Superman right now has been the best Superman in a long time because he's married and he's got a kid. It's opened the door for all these different things.
I agree, and I mean, remember during the New 52, there was a supposed editorial mandate of no marriage, no one.
Yeah, poor Batwoman got the brunt of that.
Yeah, and obviously that came out really badly because people thought it was no gay marriage, and then they had to clarify. It's like, oh no one's getting married. It's like, okay, that's still awful.
Yeah,
give us a variety of stories. We want married and non-married characters.
And I feel like with some of these characters who've been around for so long, and they feel like they're in their 40s or whatever because they've been around for a while in universe, say, it's like, no, it makes sense to get to a point where some of them are going to do this. And, you know, part of me, what is a married Batman like for, you know, at least a few years?
Yeah, I want to know, what does this change? Like, does it change how he does things? Because
like,
it's this idea of, does he want to change to be better for her, or but if he does change, does she go, well, this isn't what, you know, that's not the man I was marrying, you know, it's these dynamics.
Even less. Obviously that's all valid, but even just in a sort of situational kind of idea, like, does it mean Selina's like hanging around the Batcave with a cup of coffee in the morning whilst the rest of the team's in, like, talking about something? Is she hanging out at the Belfry because she's now kind of like a member?
Yeah, is she more... I mean, because she's been riding the line for a while now of, you know, hero and anti-hero.
Yeah.
She's shifted further and further over the years. Is this where she has to become full hero?
And I love that thing in that Batgirl issue with the lost dog. No, it wasn't that. Sorry, it was Birds of Prey. It was the recent Birds of Prey where Catwoman showed up, and Batgirl like put out she dressed up in Batman's cowl and cape to like draw her in, and then like Selina was pissed that it wasn't him, and I just wonder like that was a fun interaction, and I wonder like, oh, so going forward now, like, can the rest of the team call on her a little bit easier? Like, will she show up out of like almost family obligation?
Right, because it's at a point now where she can't do anything actively villainous because Bruce will go, hey, look, I know you're not perfect, but can we not be villains? Right?
Yeah. I think, you know, I think there's some interesting ideas.
Does she still get to steal things? Does Bruce go, hey, look, I know you like doing that and you're good at it, but can we not?
I think that's actually a fascinating thing to explore with her, is that she's in a mansion and Bruce can literally buy her anything she wants, but she would still rather steal it because it's the thrill of the chase.
Right, exactly.
Than,
but does because obviously Bruce knows that's what she's like. He knows that that's what she does, but does he expect her to change and stop doing that because of this? I think that's something that'll be interesting to explore.
I don't think he does, actually. If I was to call it right now, I feel like he's like, I think by asking her to marry him, he's long accepted who she is.
Yeah.
And he trusts her never to cross a line. He knows she's not a killer. He knows she's not various things. But I don't think like he's going to
a bit of petty theft. Fine, whatever.
He's not going to like intervene necessarily. Like He's like, keep it out of my face. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this is private business that I don't want to know about. But I'm not. Yeah, to keep it away from me.
I hope it gets to a point where the other villains kind of notice this relationship has gotten a bit like, okay, this is even more than it used to be, and like, do they start going, okay, this favoritism, she's getting away with things.
I like the idea that they kind of figure out that they've got a connection. Maybe not married, because why would they jump to that necessarily?
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the idea that they figure out it's a connection, and they kidnap Selena, thinking, oh, you know, she'll be the damsel. And I love the idea that Selena beats them up, the shit out of all of them before Batman even shows up.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like, huh, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I needed the workout anyway, and just, you know, stretch as she walks out of the room. Like, I can see scenarios like that kind of cropping up.
I think there's so much potential in this coupling that anyone who says characters shouldn't get married because it creates boring stories has no imagination.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously certain characters shouldn't get married, but it bugs me when like certain creators, and creators I like as well. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because I like a lot of these writers and stuff, but creators will say, oh, if X character and Y character ever actually got together, you'd be bored, and I'm like, I don't think I would be. I think
not if you do your job properly.
Yeah, if you actually try and explore it, I don't think I would be bored. I think there's interesting things, like people who will never put Babs and Dick together, like, you know, try it. Maybe we could actually have something with that. Like, I don't know.
I think that's why I want to give King so much credit, because he's gone, no, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna, and like
at least to a point.
Right, but it's moments like this here. The are you happy? I'm getting there. Like that's going. Oh, this is why this should be explored, because you can do interesting things, and King is showing that he is going to do those interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah, and even just the idea of we've seen how it affected the rest of the Robins and the people around him, and the ones he's closest to, which is the original Dick and his son Damien, like them talking about it and being like, hey, do we feel weird that he didn't even tell us that he was doing this?
Yeah, and I guess at the end they kind of mention, you know, like Alfred as well.
Well, Alfred knew, because they bring up, he says Alfred because he's like, is that how you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's this idea of how does Alfred fit into this family now as well? Like, because the dynamics have shifted a bit.
He's the grandfather. I love the idea that Selena's going to bring a lot of cats to the mansion, and like Alfred's going to be.
We're just going to have an issue of Alfred running around the mansion trying to look after all the cats.
Not even looking after. I'm just imagining him cleaning, just complaining about the cat hair. He's like, that's hair everywhere. Preposterous.
I mean, to be fair, they've got a couple of dogs. They've got a cow.
That's true, they got a cow already. A couple of cats shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. I'm sure he can manage.
Yeah, so, all that stuff's a really, really nice idea. I almost wish Babs, you know how we started this arc and we had the manor and we had all the Robins there with Duke? I kind of wish Babs was also there for that. I feel like she should have been in that scene. I mean, I get it's all the boys. I get that side of it, but I feel like Babs should have been there.
I think she's earned that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think like Kate or like, you know, any of the other Detective Comics characters are close enough to him on a personal level to be there. Yeah. But I think Babs is. So
it feels weird to have Duke but not Babs.
I think it's actually a testament to the greatness that is Dick. That, you know, we've said in this that we want a Nightwing and Robin book. But I feel like the current Batgirl arc right now is proving why I want a Nightwing and Batgirl book as well. It's almost like you could put Nightwing with anyone and it would be a fun ongoing book.
The only way that I will be happy again about Babs not being included for that scene is if we get Dick telling her that they're engaged and get her reaction through that.
Yeah, I need her reaction, and I also need Selena going to her and asking her to be the maid of honor because she doesn't have, because Holly's going to be in prison. So she needs a maid of honor. Hey, Batgirl, I know we don't like each other very much, but could you be the maid of honor? I like that idea because
I've made some modifications to your suit, and instead of the bat ears, it's just little cat ears.
Yeah, she's gonna be pissed. I can just see I can see like the bridesmaids being like, you get Steph, you get Cass, you get Kate.
They're they've all just got, you know, what those little headbands you get with the cat ears on. Like, they're all just wearing those.
Yeah, and then the Grimms. I mean, it's actually hard because Batman has so many people who could be on that Grimms side. Because part of me is like, Dick should be the best man, but I'm like, no, Clark should be the best man. But then, you know,
Yeah.
But then is Alfred
I
the
think it
best
has to be
man?
Alfred, yeah.
No, but does Selena ask Alfred to give her away?
Right, yeah.
Because she
No,
doesn't
that's
have
true.
her dad around.
That's true.
I think that would work. And then
But
you make Clark the best man, and then you have the four Robins. I mean, I don't know why Jason would be invited, honestly, but you have the four Robins.
I need the wedding issue. No, I need the wedding arc. I need I need an issue where I get the Robins all giving speeches, reminiscing a
Oh yeah,
story of them as Rob.
I want essentially a 6-issue arc because it's the build up to the wedding, and it's like the rehearsal dinner. I want like Bruce almost seeing Selena in the wedding. I want a romantic comedy basically of this wedding.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
But
what I
no,
want.
the issue I really want is the Robins giving their speeches. They all give one. They all reminisce about a different time when they were Robin.
I see it.
And so you kind of break up the story. You get these, to keep it interesting for an art thing. It's not just talking head.
Also, I want okay, so obviously a villain is going to end up partly ruining the wedding, right? That makes sense. I almost want it to be a joke where some villain shows up, but because of who they are, like the entire Justice League and Teen Titans are all they're all watching the wedding, they're all in the audience, and everyone just stands up and turns around, and whoever it is, Kite Man, for example, the Kite Man storms in going, aha, I'm going to wreck this, and then like the entire Justice League, Green Lantern Corps, Teen Titans, everyone just turns around and looks at him.
And then because obviously this is happening on a rooftop, right? And then
sure. Yeah.
I just assume it's going to happen on the roof of a skyscraper. Yeah, like on a big, and then Catman sees them all, jumps off, and just goes, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah, he's like, I faced down the entire Justice League and everyone else, and I love to tell the tale. Hell yeah!
Oh God, I need this so badly, King. You better not disappoint. I know you listen to this, and I know you're going. It's fine. You have to acknowledge it, but we know.
Oh God. That'll take us on is Superman number 35, Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason writing, art by Travis Moore and Steven Segovia. So we're still in Apocalypse, we have all this stuff going on, Lois is still with the Furies, although she's made a modification to her outfit, she's got a little Superman-esque emblem on her shirt, which is also, a nice little touch.
There's another artist listed as well, Art Thibert.
What was that?
Art Thibert?
Alright, I thought you were saying Art by, and then you just went Thibert.
Oh, no, Art's his first name.
Right, okay. Right. That's convenient.
Yes, it's never going to get confusing, is it? Art by Art.
Art by Art. So, yeah, you got all this with them. You got, John's got his own cool little subplot here where he's escaped from the previous people who are hunting him, and he's like the big dogs, these big, what were they called? Do they have a name?
I don't know. I was just referring to them as Hellhounds.
Devil Raiders or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. But he ends up rescuing one because these assholes are going to cook them all and eat them. And they end up kind of like taking a liking to him. So he ends up... The issue actually ends with him riding in to save the day. He's riding on one of these big dogs.
Yes, in come the dogs of war.
Yeah. And he in fact, he intervenes to save the dogs because he's like, hey, this is a job for Superboy. And it's like a little big moment for him. But it's good. And Superman's with Lex. He's pissed at Lex because Lex is trying to offer Superman up as the new, Lord and Savior of Apocalypse. Yeah, here's your new dark side. Here, take him.
Yes, here's your new god. Please.
There was some fun antics in there. I like the whole like Superman gets that sort of metal thing in his head so he can't see. So Lex is like driving him basically on his back. He's okay, like, shut left.
Right.
Yeah. So that was fun stuff.
It's a fun sequence. Yeah.
Basically, to sum up this issue for me, I think it's a fun issue and an arc that I think is fun, if not that special or... Like, I don't think it's an important arc, per se. Like, I think it's just kind of a... okay, you got Mad Max Lois and you got John doing some fun stuff on Apocalypse.
It feels like a fun breather before we get to the real stuff.
Yeah. Which is funny, because you feel like since they're paying off some of this Lex stuff that they've been building up to, then it might become something bigger. I think honestly my favourite part of the issue was honestly when the Chaos Cannon, like the big guy's going to fire into the core of the planet, and that page where it actually fires and you just see the entire planet go cold. I really like that page. It's really big and dumb comic book sci-fi nonsense, but it was pretty.
No, I agree. It's nice.
So. Yeah, it was solid.
I think this is another issue that suffers from having 3 artists.
I agree.
I'm feeling the shifts.
And I don't think there was any one that I particularly thought was bad, but it was like,
again, I think individually they're all varying degrees of good.
It was just jumping around.
It's just too inconsistent. This double shipping starting to hurt some of the books in this sense.
I still don't want to give it up though.
I don't either, but if it's one of those problems where this is the double shipping is only a concern now reading it monthly. When I read this again in the future as a collected run, this is going to feel even, it's going that problem. This problem is still going to be here.
Oh sure, I think honestly I don't want to blame double shipping though. I feel like Tomasi and Gleason took like 2 months off, and they were catching up. So I'm not sure why like the third issue back has like 3 artists on it. Like I'm not sure.
But it's the same thing that happened with with Wonder Woman, where it was okay. This is the new arc. When we get into this stuff, and then we were promised here's the 2 artists that are doing this one arc, and we've already had four different artists.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that one bothers me less though because I'm not as into the story.
Right. But the story is kind of irrelevant to the problem.
I don't know. Different artists issue that isn't bothering me as much as it's bothering you. I'm not feeling it that much.
I think it's one of those again when I sit down and read this as a trade in the future, sit down and read through it all, it's gonna feel really jarring.
Don't get me wrong. I do like a consistent artist. I'm not saying I don't. I do. But I am really liking the pace of the double shipping, so I wouldn't give it up. Admittedly, I do have a problem when there's 3 artists on one goddamn book. I
think we need a different solution. I think the problem is they just don't want to delay anything to let it happen.
Like I say, multiple artists in one issue bothers me, but the changing artists to keep up with double shipping doesn't so much. As long as they relatively complement each other, or at the very least keep it arc by arc. Because Green Arrow.
I'm a big fan of
Green Arrow, for example, is handling it wonderfully.
I still think Batman is handling it the best out of anything.
Oh, Batman's handling it really well as well. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's been this arc is one person, with the exception of a set issue which has a reason to be different, and I think it's worked out really well. I think whoever's scheduling that, probably down to the group editor, is doing a fantastic job.
I think that's when you say it's double shipping is the problem. I kind of but some books are making it work. So clearly,
well, I think it's clearly down to the individual editors who are scheduling this and sorting it out. So whoever's the editor and sorting out these deadlines for Batman and Green Arrow, they're doing a great job, and clearly whatever they're doing is working, and whoever is doing it on these other books is not taking the same approach. They're taking a different approach of going, whatever, I'll just get anyone on it.
I think that's unfair to say they're saying whatever, just put anyone on it.
Well, okay, but more just who's free? Them, they can finish this issue.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that implies they don't care. I mean, it could just be they're just not as good at their job as the others are, or like I say, there's factors here we can't necessarily predict. I don't want to necessarily throw the blame on someone. Like, there's reasons out with their control for delays and people not being able to finish issues and whatever. Like, I think that's unfair. I think that is extremely cynical and negative to look at it.
Well, it's how I'm feeling about the situation right now. I've got to be honest.
It's not bothering me that much. So, with that said, we will move on to Green Lanterns number 35. Tim Seeley writing and Carlo Barberi on art. So we're continuing. We've got what's his face? Bolthunga. There you go. We got him. And he shows up at Jesse's work. We teased him at the end of the last issue, and he actually shows up in Jessica's work while she's trying to convince her boss that she's ready to go into the front, out to the waiting tables. She's ready to do that, and she's like, "Hey, I'm sick of filling these vegan chicken wings in the morning," and Bolthunga comes in and he's got the megaphone and he's shouting out, "Green Lantern, show yourself," and yada yada yada. And she actually flies him through the wall. And I thought, yeah, that's a good way to keep your job. Put a big hole in the wall.
She's really open about it as well. She's like, you hear Bolthunga shout, she goes, "Yeah, sorry, that's for me. I'm going to deal with this guy."
I love how she looks really embarrassed up until that moment, and she puts on this fake little smile. Hey, sorry, just one moment. It's almost like that, like a scene in a movie where they're trying to like have a conversation with someone who doesn't know what's going on in the rest of the house, and the person has to like say, "Oh, just 1 second," and then they go behind the door and then they're dealing with some absurd situation.
Yeah.
They don't want the person to know about it. That's what it felt like. It felt like that fake smile to try and get
Definitely.
that done. There was actually a lot packed into this issue in terms of plot.
Well, it's quite dense.
So Jess is fighting Balthunga, and then she puts in a call to Simon. Simon's actually up in his new home, up in the Big Lantern space. He's had a one night stand with a Night Pilot, and she's like, yeah, I mean, you know, we had fun and all, but I'm not ready to date someone who's basically squatting at my age. And he's like, oh, that's cold. All right, but we see what Simon's like. So he shows up to help. We're still building the plot on Ungara, because you know the traitor, the one who set up the previous disaster, he actually murders someone and actually plants evidence to blame it on the Molites, which, you know, that's who they just saved. They just saved them from the planet. So there's a plaguing on there, which I like that they're building these characters. I like how it
segued into it,
because because Simon's like, oh, maybe I should give that cute Ungara girl a call.
I thought it was a really nice segue, and then we go over to it. I was like, oh, okay, that really worked.
It really worked, and I think it's nice that we know we're going back there, so it's not just a random thing either. It's like, yeah, you probably will see her again, because they're going to end up going back at some point for you know all this stuff going down. So no, really cool. I like that Simon is like, oh, this guy has a problem with Guy Gardner. You can't be all that bad.
Yeah, I mean, as a Guy fan, he's still not wrong.
Also, apparently Jessica thinks it's Wabbit season because she's
got a hunting rifle.
She's got a hunting rifle.
That was cracking me up. Balfunga's just a giant rabbit to her.
Now, all of it's good because they end up basically running into what is his ship. They think it's a cabin in the woods, but it's like a cloaking system, and it's actually his ship. And they get a hold of him, and he actually explains what he's doing there. Basically, he's all talk. He's always been all talk, and he is like, okay, so I got put in prison by the Lanterns, and it got around that I had been kind of lying about my exploits, so people started giving me a hard time. And eventually, this mysterious woman came to see him, Singularity Jane.
Good name.
So that's a very good name. And she offers to get him out of prison, but to do so, he has to agree to her one kind of like
small favor, a small payment. I think
that's how she puts it. And he doesn't know what it is till he gets out. But it turns out he's been hired as a hitman. He has to kill someone, and if he doesn't kill them within a week, then he'll be killed instead. So that's actually basically we find out that the person, and we hear him talking off panel. And then we turn the page and we find out it's actually his father, Boff, the Unkillable. It doesn't look
also a great title.
Also a good title. He doesn't look very unkillable to me. He looks quite frail these days.
He does. He's got a walking stick. I mean, it's a pretty cool walking stick. It's a skull, but it's still a walking stick.
Yeah, it's a skull with like a fancy spine too.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. But yeah, so he's came here to Earth to talk to the Green Lanterns mainly because he wants help. Well, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
But they put in a call to John, and John's like, yeah, don't believe a word he says, he's full of shit.
Complete bullshit, I think he calls it.
He does actually, it's censored out, but yeah, that's what he says, complete bullshit. He's like, no, that. He's under arrest, put him there. And I love that just the subtle touch of this Jane character. She shows up on Earth, and we see her talking to a truck driver, asking for like a... well, she's not even asking for directions. It kind of looks like that sort of scene, but she's just kind of like, hey, can I get a kiss? And it's like, oh, sure. And the other guy just sort of goes along with it. And then the last page, you just see that he's lying there. Not only is he dead, he's basically been sucked of life. He's a bag of skin.
Yeah.
And she's walking off wearing his hat. That's the gist of this issue. So there was a lot in there to kind of unpack, because we have, but it's all very well connected. So it's all Barthunga focused
really well.
Yeah. And we have the one segue to Ungara, but we know that's kind of still going on, and I like that that's still building in the background. I think Seeley's doing a really good job here of like setting up this some supporting cast elements that are kind of new to his run, and I actually kind of like, I like the characters from Angara, and I like this job plot, even though it seems like it's, maybe doomed for this, like, I don't feel like she's going to keep her job that long.
No.
But, like, I like what it's doing with it, and I can't...
It's a, the keeping the job thing, it's a classic superhero trope that I don't think we see very often anymore, so it's kind of refreshing to see it again, played now.
Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough how much I was laughing during the opening scene.
Yeah, it was cracking me
She's
up.
sitting there talking to the boss, and you can just hear, "I am Berthanga, and I am here to meet the Green Lantern. Show yourself." Yeah. And she's trying to ignore it, and he won't go away. He's got the megaphone. It was really cracking me up.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I enjoyed the arc quite a bit as well, actually. I thought it suited the slightly, I don't want to say goofy, but Berthunga's such an over-the-top, big, hulking character.
Do you know what it is at the minute? This book feels like. Mm-hmm. It feels like a sitcom.
A little bit, actually, yeah.
Like it's kind of going, hey, yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this. We're doing the job thing, It's like, oh, yeah, played for laughs.
And that is completely okay.
I agree. It's a nice change of tone to differentiate it, because obviously the stuff that was before was mostly quite serious in terms of being this, space cop stuff. Because it had its moments interspersed that were, the personal lives stuff, but it was mostly quite, serious in its storylines. Whereas this, Bolfunga is kind of a joke.
That's kind of his point, yeah. He is.
Yeah.
And, towards the end of the book, when his demeanor's changed and he's kind of embarrassed, telling them all this stuff, and Simon and Jess are just kind of looking annoyed that they're having to put up with them. It's doing a good job of getting their kind of mood across about him. Mm. And it's got the right tone for his kind of expressions. He's such a big goofball once he actually... he's a big goofball even when he's trying to be threatening. But once he sort of lets that... He
becomes kind of likeable at the end, doesn't he?
Yeah, but once that goes away, he's kind of this big guy who's just like really kind of embarrassed.
It's very abashed.
Admitting that he's not actually that great a guy. He's not this great fighter who's killed all these people. He's not won all these battles. He's just kind of...
Yeah, I really like the panel where he stood next to his dad, because it's like, like we said, Boff's much smaller, he's very frail looking, but he still looks like he's really holding himself in. He feels small. Yeah,
he looks, again, he just kind of looks ashamed, like his father's just belittling him, and he feels put down by it. You really see that. So no, that's really strong in that sense. So no, that's a solid. I think this has been. I was really enjoying Humphreys toward later in his run anyway, but Seeley, I think, has been hit the ground running since he started with this.
Agreed.
So I'm so used to going on to Green Arrow after that book, but
is this the first time we haven't?
Yeah, this is the first week that we've not had a Green Arrow. This is the first month of single shipping. We do have an annual of it at the end of the month, but this is no Green Arrow this week. So that takes us on to Nightwing number 33, also Tim Seeley, but art by Javier Fernandez. So this is the penultimate chapter to this arc.
And the run.
I think it's the run. I don't know, does he have an epilogue issue maybe?
I don't think so.
I don't think he does, okay. So this picks up, obviously the last issue was mostly just Nightwing and Raptor at the blackjack table. And obviously it's a lot of flashbacks telling the stories of how Raptor was around during his mother's death and all the rest of it. Mm. This picks up sort of after the big sort of cliffhanger where everyone started hulking out, everyone's going blockbuster style. And this issue kind of becomes Nightwing and Blockbuster have to work together because all this is going down. And they still have this pact where they still made this deal where he's going to help get rid of Raptor, but Dick in return is going to leave Bloodhaven. That's still the plan. Mm. But it becomes more of we're under siege, there's monsters all over the place, and then of course Tiger Shark is also hulking out. And that becomes a big thing. There were some really good moments in here. I really like the we can still work together, we can still do this, and there's a really great suspenseful sequence of Blockbuster Dick swings him up, very, very trapeze, artist style.
As it even kind of talks about.
Yeah, even references it. But even if he didn't, it's still very much that. You can see it. But so Dick's left fighting Tiger Shark, and he's holding him off for a little bit, but he eventually has to sort of run away, and he jumps into one of the rooms or the elevator or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, Blockbuster, Desmond, shut the door because he's at the control panel. And there's this moment where you're not really sure, and he shouts Desmond, and he's like, sorry,
Roland.
Oh, he's Roland Desmond.
Yeah, but he shouts Roland.
Oh, whatever. Sometimes
no. I think it makes a difference. I think it's the familiarity that it implies.
Okay, sure. Sometimes your corrections though are really nitpicky.
No, I know, but I think this one there was a genuine. I do think the familiarity that applies in the desperation of the moment.
Sure. I'm not looking at the page right now though, so I'm just from memory. And he turned the page, but then the door's shut just in time, and Tiger Shark slams into it. And it's just smacks
his head. It's satisfying.
Yeah, it's really satisfying, but it's a really well done scene because you feel the countdown and like can we trust Blockbuster? Can we actually trust what he's going to do? What he says he does?
Yeah.
Does he actually? Because that's the thing. I mean, Blockbuster even brings up that way back when we first interacted with him and he was pretending to be a good guy. He double crossed Dick. He double crossed him with that whole villains meeting and like testing the weapons out on him. But he kind of brings up. He's like, yeah, but I knew you would use that time vest thing to get out of it. Like I left that there to make sure.
Yeah, I really like their relationship. So when they're going to the elevator, and they talk about how he has to de-Blockbuster, and he's like, and it's he says he'll go up on his own while he's still in Blockbuster. He's like, I'm going up on my own. You go deal with your friends downstairs and help them out. And it's this idea that he even though like Dick points out, it's like, no, you were scared to go up there because you knew you had to come back to normal, so you were scared to go up there, but he was kind of willing to do it anyway. He was gonna let Dick go. If Dick had left, I don't think he'd have complained.
Yeah, Sean finally contacts him as well because Sean kind of is figuring out stuff's going down. Pigeon's working with Raptor, tells Dick that. We see Raptor with Pigeon, and Raptor's pissed that he couldn't go through with it and kill him. As he puts it, Dick has his mother's eyes, which made him melt essentially inside.
Yeah.
But the whole plan comes together at the end. We see Dick and Desmond side by side. They look out, and basically they're going to release this poison that turns everyone into Blockbuster, but without the intelligence. Like they're all mindless monsters. They're going to release it because Dick even cracks some jokes. He's like, "Oh, is it in the reservoir? A big hot balloon?" All these tropes.
Classic Gotham.
Yeah, classic Gotham silly ways for the Joker to poison everyone.
Yes. Scarecrow too as well.
Scarecrow. And they look across, and it's actually Raptor and Pigeon are releasing various birds, including pigeons, I would have to imagine. But there was some owls in there. There was all sorts. And he's like, oh no, it has to be ironic. He has to release it via Nightwings.
Yes.
As Dick puts it.
I mean, I don't recognise all the birds well enough, but I really hope they're all nocturnal.
I imagine that's the point.
Yeah, but pigeons aren't nocturnal, are they?
They're still around at night. I mean,
everything's still around at night. I'm still around at night. It doesn't make me nocturnal.
You see enough of them though at night. I feel like... Yeah, there's certain birds you never see at night unless you really specifically go hunting for them.
I guess.
I mean, how often do you see a duck at night?
I mean, I don't see a duck in the day, so...
I bet you would if you were by a pond with a duck in it.
I probably would, yeah.
But it'd be hiding at night. You wouldn't see it at night. It'd be...
Okay, I'm with you.
Be slinking away. Look, you give me shit for saying his second name instead of his first name, so I'm giving you shit for your bird knowledge.
Yeah, my bird knowledge is lacking.
Some Avery professor you are.
I never claimed to be any such thing.
I don't care. I went on about the art a little bit. I really like, back at the start of the book, there's a really nice, when they're standing, they're surrounded by all the monsters, there's this kind of jaggy, almost like a mouth itself, but then inside this little sort of gap...
Yeah, it's all the teeth clenched.
Yeah, it's just all the monster teeth all clenched looking at them. It's this dark red. There's a good sense of motion throughout the book. There's a lot of speed lines and stuff. We didn't mention that the runoffs are outside dealing with various monsters and saving, bystanders. Because they're all some of the monsters have fled out onto the docks and they're harassing.
So they're being the heroes.
Yeah, so they're getting some payoff, which is nice because it means that everything that's been introduced in the run, it would not. I'm positive that Svoboda will show up next issue and help out in a big way.
Yeah, she has to.
One would imagine. So, how do you think they're going to resolve this? Dick has to leave Bloodhaven. Do you think? Well, he could leave, but I don't think he does. Though I'm pretty sure the arc after this, the first
I thought
arc,
he was still in Bloodhaven as well. I think whatever goes down
Do you think Desmond will
begrudgingly allow him to stay?
He'll make the choice to say, you don't have to leave because you helped me fix this.
Yeah, like, you know, because part of this here is he talks about how, you know, you try and change, but you don't really know it. You don't really want to know it. But maybe this, you know, real saving of it and trying to make it better, he'll go, okay, maybe we can make this place better together.
Yeah, I can see that. Obviously, Roland could just die as well. I mean, that's an option.
I think that's less interesting, though.
Oh, it is less interesting. It's definitely the easier option.
It is, yeah.
Definitely easier option. No, I'm just skimming through.
I think just you mentioned the art. I think for the most part it is excellent. My only problem is every so often the faces, Dick looks really young. He like has a proper baby face.
I think Fernandez has always been like that, though. I don't think
no.
I don't think that's new to this particular
It's not.
issue.
I found it more noticeable this issue for whatever reason.
That said, the page, is it where Tiger Shark first appears? I think it is. Let me just go back and see if we see him already at the top of the elevator shaft. But when we come back from the pigeon raptor scene, and Tiger Shark's
he's kind of in the wall. Yeah,
he's coming down through the top of the elevator. He's come through the hole, and there's this bright light shining down. That looks phenomenal. That is like a proper monster movie.
Do you know what? He kind of looks very Killer Croc-esque in that light.
He's Killer Croc with a red bandana, basically.
He is in that, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good though. It's proper monstrous. I love when they play with highlights and shadows like that, like where it's proper blown out.
Yeah, it's nice because you can go to the extremes really easily when it's just drawn, and you can make it look good, and it mostly always does look good because they don't do it enough, so the effect of it kind of stands out.
Yeah, no, the whole sequence, we mentioned obviously he runs from Tiger Shark and goes into the into the elevator or whatever, but the whole thing plays out as a monster running from a monster, but they're on nothing but cables and a very large shaft, which plays to Dick's strength, given his background in the circus. So it's just a very interesting new challenge for him, where okay, he's used to being up there on the cables and dangling around and jumping between them. But he's got this hulking monster who's also doing the same thing right behind him. It gives it this kind of almost.
It's very King Kong swinging on the vines.
It's no pun intended here. King Kong's a bit big to swing in the vines.
No, I'm talking giant vines.
All right, giant vines. All right, but no, it is very shark-like. I'm not even using that intentionally because of his name. It's just the way he's kind of hunting him when he's trying to.
He's got the scent of blood and he's going for it. Yeah, and
he literally bites his ankle actually at one point. So it's really good. A lot of motion lines, all that kind of thing. Very well done sequence.
Really is.
So it's all good stuff. Big cliffhanger. So going into the last issue of the arc, and we have a bunch of actual birds to deal with. Yeah,
it's different. I'll give them
that. We're just going to shoot birds next issue?
That seems weird. But I mean, do they just pull a we'll send out some pulse that knocks birds out? I'm like, well, is that a bit just cheap?
Is there? I mean, if there's a way to send them out to a location, there must be a way to draw them back in.
I mean, that's true. But are they necessarily sending them out to a location, or are they just go?
No, yeah. I don't know, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they handle it next issue.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. It's been a really great run.
That'll take us on to Batwoman number 9. Marguerite Bennett on the writing and Fernando Blanco on art. So we're continuing our Scarecrow story here. We ended last issue with Kate and Colony Prime, both kind of heavily injected with this new serum, and they're both seeing completely different things. Kate's getting a sort of Alice in Wonderland type thing going on, whereas Colony Prime is seeing a video game, basically, for lack of a better description.
We don't see much of that version, though.
No, I kind of like that, actually, though. It's all Kate's side we see, but he just occasionally makes references to what he's seeing, and it just sounds completely different. It's like, it's this pixelated bad guy. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, whereas the image of Scarecrow, it very much feels like the Arkham Asylum game version. Those nightmare sequences where he's towering over everything.
The needles for fingers I especially love. In fact, I mean, the art's typically pretty good. I still think it's the weakest art in the book.
Out of the artists
Yeah.
that we've had, I think Blanco is the weakest.
Because
but he's not bad.
because I really liked Epstein. I really liked that issue 5 artist. I can't remember who that was off the top of my head. But
Stephanie Hans.
there you go, Stephanie Hans. But it's generally pretty solid. But my favourite part of it is how Scarecrow looks. Everything with Scarecrow, seeping into darkness or coming out. The big sort of version of him with the big needle fingers.
Yeah, the spidery version.
Yeah, all of that stuff's really, really good. This issue basically amounts to a couple of things. It's a little bit of, I want to say fun almost, bonding between Colony Prime and Kate, where they're kind of bickering about they're not really brother and sister, and she's like, oh,
but it feels a lot like sibling bickering, doesn't it?
It does, but she's like, oh yeah, okay, you're the son that Kane never had, blah 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 blah, let's not do this. But it does genuinely feel like the siblings bickering. But she learns a little bit about him. She learns that he's a father. She sees the photograph that he's got under his helmet. And it makes her understand him maybe just a little bit better. And it all kind of ties into this idea of, they both kind of get roped into their career paths because their parents to some extent were in the military or something like that. And she sees it as this cycle of, just a cycle of death where either your parents are already dead or you end up dying.
Yeah, you try to live up to them or honour them, and you end up making the same mistakes.
Yeah, and it all kind of boils down. Like she's in this Scarecrow, and we see that her dad's kind of on the way. He's looking for them. He's at least looking for Colony Prime because he knows he's there. Well, he knows if he knows Kate's there. I'm not sure actually off the top of my head, but
I can't recall now.
But it kind of all boils down to her having this moment of strength where she realizes she can be powerful in here. Like it's her nightmare. Can she take control?
And this is where the art is absolutely at its best as well.
Because she starts to transform. She's like, yeah, I mean, like I could contribute to this cycle of death and violence, but I can take control. Like, you're trying to scare me of what could happen. And there's that great page with all the panels of like, okay, so this is our past. Here's the sister. Here's everything that's happened. Our mother dying.
Here's where she is now. And that's that tease of the future.
You see her with the belfry, and then of course, we see the future tease of like, what she'll become, and we see the fascist Gotham Batwoman that we've seen in the other issues.
I thought it was really interesting in that panel that there was 2 bat signals in the sky behind her.
Did we see that in that last issue though?
I don't recall seeing it in last issue, but maybe I just never noticed.
I feel admittedly it's been a while, but I feel like there was multiple bat signals kind of just constantly.
There might well have been, yeah.
I don't know if it's maybe like more of a, rather than being a signal to call someone in this future, it's more branding. This is our city, like we control. Kind of like how Nazi Germany has swastikas everywhere. It's like, no, here's some bat signals in the sky.
That's kind of how it looks in this image.
We're in power. And the big final page is like she's actually transformed into a giant freaking monstrous bat.
Yeah, it's fantastic looking.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I it's funny because I feel like this arc is probably my least favourite of the book so far. Even though it's doing a lot of little things that I really like, I think it's because we're trapped in this nightmare, and because it's kind of all a dream to an extent. Like it's not.
Doesn't quite have the same weight as the real world actions.
It's going to relate to everything because we know the many arms of death are involved. They're funding Scarecrow and all these things, and we have some good moments in here. But I am kind of looking forward to being back out into the real world and doing that stuff.
Agreed. Although I will say the double page spread where she is transforming, the layout there is spectacular. The way they kind of angle in and out the panels. Yeah,
even the speech bubbles are actually angled with the panel, so you get some that are really skewed.
It's really disorienting, and it works amazingly.
And I think what's interesting about that double page spread is that you kind of get it from Scarecrow's perspective more than hers, because it's like she's starting to manipulate it, so it's affecting his view of it.
Yeah,
so
you're kind of seeing the confusion of what's going on.
Yeah, so
it is a little bit difficult to read at first because you're kind of moving back and forth.
But it's him that's being disoriented here, not her.
Yeah.
And typically we're getting things from her point of view because she's our main character, she's our protagonist. But here it kind of shifts.
This is that shift, and again, that's another one of those pages where Scarecrow looks incredible against the night sky and the broken city.
Yeah, it's full on Scarecrow from the Arkham games. That's basically what this is. But that's okay. I have no problem with that. So
yeah, and I love how on that last page where she's the giant bat, Scarecrow looks so small.
Yeah. Also, I love the idea that Colony Prime's questioning, like, are they even looking for him? Do they care to come and get him? And because it's when Batwoman says that she tracked the signals, like, well, you tracked it. Why hasn't anyone else tracked it? Like,
Yeah.
he starts to question it. It does.
Of course, we know that they are.
Yeah, they are. They're looking. She's just smarter, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. They obviously they try and boost the signal. Obviously during the issue, so that's what kind of leads to Colonel Kane's on his way. But we'll get to that next issue. So no, it was not bad. It had some fun moments. But not necessarily standing out amongst the run so far for me compared to the first arc and some of the other stuff.
Agreed, but I'm enjoying it at least.
Oh yeah. That'll take us on to Super Sons number 10, Peter J. Tomasi writing and Jose Lewis on art. You're behind on this and Matt's not here, so I'm flying solo for this one.
You probably should have put this after Aquaman.
Nah, that splits it up a little bit because it means like it's not just me and Mo and then you and your own for Red Hood, so...
That's fair.
There's a method to this madness. There's a method to it.
There's not. This is just the same order you always have and you didn't think about it.
Shut up. So... it's a shame you're not caught up because I actually love this issue. Like I was not excited necessarily this month because the last couple of issues weren't as hot. Like I liked the start of the last arc, but it was the Teen Titans involved. But then when they went to this other planet with these like clay girls,
yeah, I think the one with the Titans is the last thing I saw.
That had some moments, but it was mostly kind of whatever. And me and Matt were both kind of glad that it was done. And this issue, fantastic. This issue was basically Batman and Superman decide that because they're starting to get more serious about it. At the start of the issue, like John hears something with the superhero because he's testing his flight. Like they're all together. Like Batman, like I should say Bruce and Clark because they're in civvies, and Damien's there, and Damien's like, right, shush, shut up, and like Clark's like, did he just tell you to shush? He's like, he gets that from me. And like, but they're testing John's flying. He's flying continuously. He's really good at it now. But John hears he's like, hey, I can hear someone. There's a robbery over. Actually, no, he sees it because they're talking about his microscopic vision. He sees it. He's like, there's a robbery, a big belly burger in Gotham. Can I go, Dad? And he's like, yeah, okay, but like, listen, get the weapons first, then subdue. Let the police do their job after that. There's no need to do anything else. And he's like, okay, and he flies off to go and deal with it. And it's like, oh, he's been trusted to go and do that now. Like, Superman's like, hey, yeah, go and deal with a simple B&E. go do that. And, yeah, so they basically decide, as far as that, they should have a base. So this issue is Batman and Superman taking their sons to their new base, which is an underwater base.
Nice.
Under the Gotham Harbour, I think. And... like Damien's like nitpicking it. He's like, this is strange. Batman would never. There'll be a catch to this. He's only given us our own base because I think Damien at the start of this show says, "Oh, we should probably get our own place away from prying eyes." And his question is like, he's only doing this because he wants to keep an eye on what we're doing. In fact, as soon as they leave, he starts sweeping it for bugs. He's like, "I'm sweeping it for bugs, John. Just you wait by." But he keeps questioning things. He's like, "Yeah, how are we going to be any useful down here? It's going to take us like several minutes to get to the shore before we can even go anywhere." And then he's like, nope, teleporters have been installed. They will beam you up to the surface in less than 100 seconds. Or anywhere you need to go in 100 seconds. And I'm like, okay.
Seems pretty useful.
But the catch for Damien, actually, is quite funny. It's interesting because Batman's like, yeah, your homeschooling's kind of reached the limit of what it's going to be. The trade for this is that you have to go to school. And it's the same school that John's going to.
Of course it is.
Gold. And the funny thing is John's like, oh, we can hang out together at school. And Damien's like, I'm 3 years older. We're not going to be in the same class. Unless you've put me in a younger class because I've not had as much skill. Tell me not, father. tell me not. Everything about this was absolute gold. There's some really nice little touches. Again, I love how the dichotomy, like when the parents both bring them here, like when they go to get them at the house, he's like, Superman comes in, he says hi to Lois, he's like, oh, is he there? And he's like, yeah, I washed his uniform. And he goes in and he throws the uniform on the bed, and John's like, oh, I'm getting up. And he's like, no, John, come with me. And it's the middle of the night, so he's not expecting to be up. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm coming. And he's waking up. Batman comes home, Alfred's like, okay, right, I cleaned one of his uniforms, here it is. And he's like, and he's like, you're always less polite when you're in uniform. He's like, thank you. And he walks into Damien's bedroom, and just like with John, he throws the uniform across the bed, and he's like, Damien, get up. And then it cuts to the next panel, cuts to Batman, and Damien's actually above the door, like perched. He's like, you're getting loud in your old age, man. And he's like perched, he's like waiting. Again, it's the dichotomy. It's the differences. It's like, you know, John's actually just a kid in bed yawning, like, yeah, okay. Damien's above the door, like waiting to attack to see who's coming.
Of course he is.
It's fantastic. Nah, this was nothing but solid gold. And then at the end, we just sort of teased our first mission where it comes on the screen that I think his name, because it's not a generic villain, he looks kind of generic, but it's actually, I think his name's Chemo, if I remember right.
Okay.
Green dude. Like I don't know him that much about him, but I know him. I know his look. I remember his face. But I think it's Chemo. He's attacking one of the cities, and okay, it's time for our first mission. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad there's an annual for this month, because now they've got a base, which is funny because now Damien has two bases because he's got the Titan's Tower as well. But whatever, kid's got it all.
I mean, he's an entitled brat anyway, so makes sense.
He is. Art was really solid. I think this is Jose Luis's first time in the book. I don't remember.
The name's not familiar to me.
But it's very expressive, very bright and poppy. The kids like sort of reactions. Damien scowling, John with a wide-eyed happiness.
How's it holding? Because obviously I think it was Jimenez who's been doing the first chunk.
Jimenez was doing the first arc at least. I don't know if he did the last.
Yeah, I don't know about the last couple because I've not read those yet, but. His work was pretty spectacular for the series. Is this kind of in that same style at least, or is it much of a departure from that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a departure. I'd say I can tell it's a little bit different. Right. I think maybe the only criticism is when Bruce is out of costume, like at the start, and he's in his civvies, is he looks maybe just a little bit different to what I'm used to Bruce looking like, just face structure wise. But everyone else looks great. The expressions are great. In fact, there's a really sweet moment. In fact, when they're on their way back after they've been trying the flying, where they're in a truck, right? The dads are in the truck driving, and John and Damien are on the top of it. They're on the back, and John's like, "Hey," like Damien's giving him shit, and he's like, "Oh, we should get our own place," blah blah blah, and he's like, "Hey, look, just try this," and he makes Damien kind of lie in the top part of the truck and kind of put his arms out as if he's flying, and he's like, just you know, just feel it, feel the breeze. He's trying to like show him what flying. So they're both kind of doing it, even though John can actually fly, but he's still kind of doing it with him, and it's just kind of emulating the flight. And because Damien's got this whole thing where he's like, "Oh, I need to know. We don't have to tell people anything. Why did you tell your dad about the other missions we did? Stop that." Because he mentions, "Oh, I actually flew once before because you know, when I first get back from whatever back in like Robin War, or maybe when he came back to life, I can't remember when, but like he flew once back then for whatever reason. I never read that, so I don't know the exact context of it, but he references it. And he's like, "Oh, why didn't you never tell me that?" And he's like, "Need to know." Just Damien being Damien. But no, solid. Like I say, art very vibrant and poppy. Which actually reminds me, there is an interlude in the middle.
Oh.
Which is actually called intermezzo. Is that a thing? Is that like Italian for intermission? Or interlude?
Sounds like it could be.
Sounds like it could be. I'm not familiar with it. But it's actually, you know, we've got that plot coming up with the future Batman and Superman. And, that's all coming. This is teasing that. We basically see Gotham cities in like an apocalyptic ruins, and we see like a hand coming up through like what almost looks like lava. I don't think it actually is lava, but it almost looks like it. And we see it's actually future Batman Damien. And he says the apocalypse is back on because I say so. And then it's end intermezzo. But it's a really nice big page spread of like, you know, the big collar Batman.
I love that costume. And it's so Damien, it's so over the top and outrageous.
Yeah, but the page before, what's he going on about? He's saying, he's complaining that he sold his soul for the city and he put everything into it. But there's a chance for one more resurrection, one more rebirth, one more chance to get this done right. So I mean, I think that's implying that he's going to try and go back in time to fix something.
Right. Yeah. So so the Batman of the future? Is this Damien? Is that what it seems to be implying for that crossover?
Yeah, I mean, it looks. I mean, like I say, I'm saying it's Damien because it's his costume. Like they could swerve me and say it's someone else under the mask. But...
if he's got the big collar, I'll take it as Damien.
Yeah.
Especially in this book.
Yeah. In fact, he's picking up a bit of fabric. It's a bit of like maybe cape. It's purple. I don't know whose cape that would be. If it is a
purple, cape. Obviously, I'm not looking at this. Purple to me says either Joker or the inside of, our current Batman cape.
No, I think it's green on the other side, which is more jokery.
Okay, Joker then.
But I don't know. It doesn't feel like the way he picks up doesn't feel. I don't know. But it's teasing the thing. It would have been weird to miss that out, so I wanted to.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm definitely going to be caught up for when that starts, because that's...
Also, just a subtle little touch in the art again, when Batman's taking Damian to the new base, and they're in these little, like, bat submarine, or whatever you want to call it.
Batmarine.
Batmarine. Damian, of course, Batman's driving, and Damian's just got his arms behind his head like this, and he's just complaining constantly.
Of course he does.
It's just... I love this book. This... Honestly, I mean, obviously the last couple of issues were a little bit rougher, but right now this is beating Superman, like in terms of book to book.
I do. I've not been reading it the last few just because of time, and I just once I missed one issue, I just didn't get around to catching back up in time. But obviously, I've got a deadline coming up with the crossover, so I'm looking forward to it because I do think it's a fantastic book.
No, it's great. Like, right now, I am easily enjoying this more than the main Superman book, and it's not the main Superman book bad, but it's definitely better now than it was.
It's been a bit of a rut though lately, hasn't it?
So it's good. Just one final touch at the end when they're jumping out to fight Chemo, and they're really excited. They're happy they've got a mission. John jumps out first and says, "This is a job for Superboy and Robin." And then Damien's just like, "I hate you." It's glorious. I love it so much. I think if you like these characters, and I do, this book is usually perfect. Like I say, wasn't so keen on that planet stuff for a couple of issues, but other than that, it's been kind of strength to strength. So no, I fully recommend it. So that'll take us on to Aquaman number 30, Dan Abnett writing and Sejic on art. So Matt got caught up, and then he decided that he was missing the first issue that he'd be talking about after being caught up, but luckily you, who got caught up 2 months ago and then missed 2 week 3s, are finally here on a week 3 to talk about Aquaman. So for the first time since I caught up with Aquaman, I actually have someone to talk to about it.
No, I spoke to you with one issue. I did. I spoke to you with you about one issue, and then I missed 2.
Okay, sure. One out of
at
like
least
6.
Maybe 2.
Out of like 6, one issue.
Someone can go back and check. I definitely spoke about at least 1 or 2.
I've been talking a lot about the last one, so what did you think of this Aquaman?
Oh man, it looks so good, and that makes the story flow so fantastically. Because I think the plot is fine. It's it's a continuation of what we've been getting. It's relatively interesting, but the art just elevates it to this spectacle.
I think it's solid. Yeah, I think the plot's solid. You've got this resistance, not Gotham, that'd be weird. Atlantis Uprising, who are trying to fight back, and they encounter these big beasts, like these dark magic beasts that are being controlled by the school or whoever, Ratsmen, and that's when Aquaman jumps in. After obviously he was inspired the last issue by Dolphin to make more of a stance, and he comes in, and everyone kind of like,
that full page where he comes up and just smacks the dinosaur thing is amazing.
A double uppercut, I think was the exact the motion. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, because the way the water's going, he's went up the way with his hands.
Yeah, he's definitely come up. Yeah.
So no, it's pretty cool. And so you got that. You got this other thing with Mira actually. I like that it actually cuts to Garth on land, even though he's just kind of there to set up the Mira stuff. He just sets up that, like, okay, there might be problems.
I will say, I actually thought it was a little clunky the way it cut to that, because I get that it was setting up the Mira stuff, but I feel like it was just a little clunky that they didn't have a better way of doing it. So we'll just cut to that, like, because last time he was in the book, it was very relevant. It was through Mira, whereas this it was just like, okay, let's just check back up on him, and it felt like, oh, okay, he talks about Mira, but I didn't feel like it was that well executed.
I don't know. I actually kind of like that it cuts to him. I like that we've not just forgotten that he existed. Like I feel like that would have been an easy thing to do, is just to leave him out of the book after like he'd done his thing last issue.
I think that would have been better to me, because at the moment everything's been so focused on Arthur and Mira, so kind of keeping it the focus. This kind of gives it another fragment that I don't think I need at the minute, because I'm not getting anything from this plot. Like, it doesn't do anything on its own other than to tell us about Mira.
I mean, no, I like it.
Well, that's fair.
But I mean, it's only 2 pages. Maybe it should be 1 page. Yeah. But I like that it reminds me of Tula's up there, because I'd kind of forgotten about that.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know, she came and she's on land. So, but that's when we cut to Mira, and Mira, like she gets through. She thinks everything's fine, and then oh no, the medallion to get her through was damaged, and it's made her basically lose the ability to breathe underwater. At least in Atlantis, within this, maybe once the thorns are gone, like.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah, I would imagine that's maybe what will happen. So some people take her. We find out later on in the issue who's got a hold of her, which is very interesting. But you know, Dolphin comes in and helps Aquaman. She brightens the place up so that the king's men can't get to him.
I love how they're playing with the light from her. I think it adds an extra dynamic to the art that's just a bit different.
It does, yeah. Very bright, which typically underwater you don't think of being bright.
Yeah.
So it's a nice touch. We see that Wrath is actually he is like starting to lose his shit. You can tell he's getting more and more unhinged because not only is he wanting to this squash the Ninth Triad and just kill all the people I don't like down there. I just get all of them, all those naysayers, all the people who are against me. And then he's like, oh, and let's go back to the surface and dominate and take over man's land.
Yeah.
And it's clearly too much. He's clearly like, no, you can't achieve this.
There's a moment where he literally just shouts, I am king for God's sake. And all I could think is the incredible piece of wisdom from Tywin Lannister of Game of Thrones. Any man who has to say that he is king is no true king.
Very good.
Honestly, that popped into my head as he was saying this. It was honestly my first thought. It's a good assessment because it kind of shows how unhinged he is and how desperate he is. Where if you have to kind of convince others of that, then you're not really doing a very good job, are you?
Yeah, he's very insecure. Basically, he's determined to prove that he's still on top and he's still winning, which is why he has all these things. Like, we're going to not only kill my enemies, we're going to kill anyone who could be an enemy. We're going to go into the surface land. We're going to kill all of those. It was all these different things. And he's second in command. He's maybe like no, I'm still with you, but maybe just one good idea at a time, rather than everything at a time. Because she's thinking logically, we can't do that. And then King Shark makes his entrance.
I love that because obviously when we get Mira, they were like, oh, take it to the king, and it's kind of like okay, which one? Because we know what happened last issue.
Yeah. I mean, I think you assume Wrath because hard going to him is maybe makes more sense from a plot point of view. Just to okay, now Mira's with the King Wrath, and that can set up some plot.
Yeah, but we knew she was at the bottom from where she was.
But then it's like no, because what's his face was killed. Because Orm is actually on our side. Orm's on Arthur's side. King Shark's apparently going to try and take over the Ninth Trade. He wants to be the new underworld, crime boss for the Ninth Trade. And he's like trying to do that. So we find out that he's got Mira. He's got her in a bubble, and she's got like breathing apparatus. No, I really like him. I like how he leans in. He's got his big teeth, and he's just like, "Ain't you a tasty morsel?" I like that. It's because it feels like something a fisherman would say to a fish he's caught. And there's an irony of like King Shark saying that too.
No, I love King Shark living up to his potential here. He's standing up so dominating.
He's hamming it up. He is chewing the scenery, and that is exactly what I want from King Shark.
Yeah,
I want him doing that.
Yeah, it's great.
So Aquaman's introduced to the rest of the Resistance, the Uprising, and Volko and Undine are there, and they're like, yeah, hey, and it's like, there's some trust issues. Aquaman's like, yeah, should I really trust you? You've kind of betrayed like everyone multiple times. This guy's like, yeah, I betrayed it for the best interest of Atlantis, and the best interest of Atlantis is not King Wrath. And they hand them what they got out of the crypts,
Yeah, I think crypts is the right word.
I feel there was a name for it, but down in the vaults where all the hidden artifacts were.
Yeah, with all the I think we're saying crypts because it was guarded by all the dead.
Yeah, it was all the ghosts. Yeah, and there was that one he got friendly with. He had no face. That was good fun stuff. So we actually knew what they brought him. We knew it was a trident, but they give it to him wrapped up, and he's like, "Oh, so what do you say? Like, do you help us take back Atlantis?" And we get our big final page of him holding up the trident and.
My favourite part of this page, fantastic page as well.
Oh, it's
but my
beautiful.
favourite part is Dolphin behind him, also with her arms up, like yeah,
she's ready to go. I just love the idea of lightning striking the trident underwater.
Yeah, I know. Everyone just died.
Oh, it's so good. I like. It's amazing how much Aquaman's turned around. I think.
Yeah.
since it started.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that, and I'm not even that worried about Sejic leaving, because like I feel like we're on a path now where I'm really liking the plot.
Yeah, I think I have a small concern because I think that's what's elevating it from being a. I think without that art, it's a good book, which is fine.
Yeah.
But with the art, this is a great book, and I think I'm concerned when the art does change if it kind of goes back down to being okay, it's just good again.
I hope the colouring stays consistent with this, because I like the overall colouring scheme of this compared to what it was before.
I love this look for Atlantis. Even if if we go back to the surface and we change colouring, I'm okay with that.
Mm.
But I like this for Atlantis.
Yeah, I like it as well. I feel like in terms of plot, this was a really simple issue because it was kind of moving everything forward again, like the logical next steps. But all of this, like Arthur taking like the resistance on, and like him being the leader of the resistance, and like making that choice last issue, and then this issue actually kind of enacting it, and like people with me. It really feels like they're actually making a case for him actually gaining the respect of the people of Atlantis. And I think a big effect of that is, and I've said this countless times about Aquaman in general, is that so often so many runs of Aquaman are just about the throne room. We never see the people of Atlantis. We never see the common people. And it feels like this arc is doing a good job of saying, no, here's the poor people of Atlantis. Here's the people
I think it's the first time I've thought of Atlantis as a kingdom and not just a city.
Mm. Yeah, I love this idea of the trades, and the ninth one being at the bottom, and it's kind of the shithole where...
Yeah.
To go back to the whole vigilante, like Batman comparisons for the first couple of issues of this arc, it's kind of like the Narrows of Gotham almost.
It is,
yeah. There. Well, that will take us on to everyone's favourite segment of the month, which is Connor's Corner, where Connor will inform us on the latest issue, well, not the latest one that he's at, which is Red Hood and the Outlaws issue 12, Scott Lobdell writing, Dexter Soy on art. We finally ended the Artemis arc that he was really displeased with.
Hating. Let's not beat around the bush. I hated that shit.
So let's find out what issue 12 holds.
Issue 12 is part 1 of the life of Bizarro. And of course, I have, generally speaking, praised the Bizarro segments of the book for being the highest quality.
Did you like this issue? Did that happen?
Parts. The parts where Bizarro was actually there. The problem is, if you recall, which I know you don't,
no, I don't.
The end of last issue was Bizarro dying after he flew up to the sun. So for a lot of this issue, he's kind of just dying. He's lying on a table while the others go and do stuff. Which is the worst part of the issue, because I have to listen to Jason and Artemis talk for 6 pages. That's rough. But basically, we actually start with a tease of this mystery person breaking Solomon Grundy out from Arkham. We see them. They're in a park bench. He's like, "Hey, I broke you out, for a reason. You're gonna go and bring terror to Gotham." We don't see who this person is, of course, and I don't care enough to speculate. But basically, the issue is then Solomon Grundy going on a rampage and doing what he does, and we get some stuff of Artemis and Red Hood going and fighting him, and it's fine. It looks good again. I can't fault the art. Dexter Soy is a great artist, but the issue gets interesting and half decent when Bizarro he wakes up from this coma. He turns out he's been listening still. He's got a superhero and he hears that they're getting destroyed by Solomon Grundy, and he goes, no, my friends need me. And he's like, and the nurse woman says, it's like, look, this is all well and good, but you're dying. If you go now, then you might not come back. And he goes, yeah, I know, and then flies out anyway. Like, he's actually quite heroic again. The only one of the team who is, but it's refreshing. But anyway, you get him fighting Grundy for a bit because kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This version of Bizarro, the way he looks against Grundy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean they're very similar. They're both the big bulky, the white out skin. It's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And At the end, then after this fight, you actually have Bizarro dying. He used up all his energy saving them, and his last thing is he asks for a favor, and he asks them to take care, and then he leaves them his little Superman doll that he has. Which is quite nice. Yeah, I think it's adorable that he has a little Superman doll. I really do.
I feel like you're being very positive on this issue.
Oh no, I'm cherry picking the stuff, the Bizarro stuff. I've skipped over a lot of the other bollocks because I'm gonna try not to be too negative because I'm bored of being negative and just hating on it because I do just hate on everything else in this.
True. But your job is to talk about the whole book.
All right, fine. What stupid shit do you want me to talk about in the fight between the others? You've got them making awful puns. Obviously, it's based on Solomon Grundy says his name over and over, so they make jokes about, they say that like Artemis goes, no, it's Artemis. They're saying their own names, and Jason complaining about the rhymes being shit, and ugh, that's just that stuff's tedious as balls, and I hate it. I really hate it.
Sounds fine to me. Yeah, I don't know. Crack some jokes about. I feel like if these were
no, I think if they were good jokes, it would work, and if the timing was there for them, but it's not.
Okay.
Because the problem is they're all compacted into one section. It's like, here's the section where we get out all the jokes and puns on this, and then we'll move on to here's just the plain fight section, and then here's the Bizarro. So it's not interspersed very well at all. The pacing is completely off. But then at the end, as Bizarro is laying there, presumably dead, and they've kind of spoke about how this has been, they knew it was coming because apparently in the first issues, Black Mask said that he had a shelf life. That he was going to die because it's hard to clone Kryptonians. Not that I recall that, because why would I? But then we actually end with Lex showing up, coming down, looking at the body, and just says intriguing. And I like Lex. I like Lex's relationship with Bizarro in past ideas. Obviously, we haven't had that at all with this version of Bizarro. So
it's interesting to see if Lex, being that he's not just the outright villain Lex right now.
Yeah.
Where does this go then if he's not treating him like that? If he's not wanting to try and utilize him as a Superman fighting device?
Right. Does he see that Bizarro has been, in the same way that he's been trying to live up to the Shield? Bizarro has been doing the same in his own way. So does he kind of see some, mutual respect in that, and that they're kind of doing the same thing? Maybe I think I'm giving Lobdell too much credit here, to be honest.
Possibly.
But it seems the obvious things to do, and I hope it does. But I am concerned that we go too long now without Bizarro. Like even a full issue, if he's dead all issue, that's going to be rough and tedious, and I don't want that.
I can see it. I can see it cutting to Lex a couple of times to do he's working on it, and then maybe just the final page he wakes up and that's it.
I can see that as well, and I'm not looking forward to that at all.
Well, we'll find out next month.
Yeah. Some great art though. I really want to credit Soy with his use of color, and he'll often do this. He'll literally spotlight a moment where he'll cut out all the background entirely and just leave it white and just leave the figures.
I do enjoy how depressed you sound as you tell us what happened in Reddit.
I'm sure David does too. That's what he's paying for, right?
Yeah, that is. I don't know. Well, I mean, to be fair, it sounds like you had a much more positive time with this issue.
This is much better than the last arc, for sure. It's probably, I don't know if I'd say it's the best the book's been. I don't know about that. Maybe it's probably the most Bizarro stuff, at least in one concentrated chunk.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, it was pretty good. It's just all the other stuff that comes before it that I'm just kind of going, all right, I don't care about this. Let me, come on, skip through this. Of course, I'm not skipping through it because that would make no sense, and I wouldn't be able to actually say anything about how much I hate Jason and how awful he is, and Artemis is somehow worse.
I think I'll call that a 50-50 review. I feel like you liked half of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least half. Maybe more than half.
It's just under half if I look at it. It's just. And the thing is, I am skimming through the Jason side a little bit quicker, just based on that it's actually quite simple what they're doing. They're going out, they're fighting. There's not much going on with it.
All right, there you go. That is Red Hood and Outlaws issue 12, which takes us to the end of our show, which is picking our favourite stuff of the week, and we do best panel or moment rather, and we do best cover, best art, top 5 books. That's what we do. And obviously Matt did send me his as well. I've got my phone at the ready because he messaged it to me, so I can just read it off that rather than anything more difficult. So he can go first for everything since since he doesn't have to think, because he's just a message that was already written. So for panel, he's actually got John riding the Hunger Dogs at the end of Superman.
Is that what they were called?
I don't know. It's not striking a bell, but I mean...
It's not, but Matt probably knows better than us.
And he also said any sword fight panel from Batman. He's cheating a bit there. He's getting John and the dogs. He's not getting both. That's not how this works. Connor, what's your panel / moment of the week?
I'm going to go with the very final panel of the Batman Who Laughs. That, the close-up on the mouth, the laughing, the lightning in the background. I think it's just a fantastic image.
Cool. Actually, I'm going to go Nightwing. I'm going to go with that panel of Tiger Shark with the harsh light above him as he's coming down through the elevator in the shaft.
It's pretty good.
Very imposing. As much as it's tempting to pick one of the really dark moments from Batman Who Laughs with the murdering the Bat family or making Superman kill his family.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Those are really, really strong moments. But I think just in terms of a sort of, this is where the art kind of clicked and really sold the moment to me. I think that stands out. So
yeah.
I'm going with that. So then, of course, we'll pick best cover of the week, which Matt's went with Batman. Okay. You can't explain why because he's not here. It's a fair pick, although
I think it's a good cover. I don't think it's the best.
No. It's funny. I like the variant for Nightwing, but obviously we don't do variants when we're picking our favourite of the week. So I feel like I might have to. I'm tempted to go with Batwoman because it's a pretty cool cover with the needle hands or needle fingers rather. But I think I'm going to go with Aquaman.
Yeah, I'm going Aquaman. I think it's got such a great. It's got just good design. The symmetry of it, it kind of really stands out.
Yeah, it's just him looking through his trident, a really close up.
Yeah, but even the trident, where we've got the prongs going up, but then we have the prongs going down. It kind of really works for me. Yeah.
So that's really nice. So then best art of the week again. We'll go to Matt's first since he's here. So he's picked Batman. He's picked Joelle Jones in Batman. He says it should just edges out Sejic.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think those are the two I'm struggling between right now.
I think that's fair. I think I have to go with Sejic on this particular week.
I think I might have to give it to Sejic as well.
I think I have to go with Sejic. I feel like he was just hitting it out this week. There was
one too many specific panels where I go, oh damn, that looks amazing. Whereas Joelle Jones in Batman is very consistently, it's got a real good flow to it.
Yeah, very consistently great, good flow. Aquaman just feels a little bit more special this week. So
yeah, it's got a few more just to stand out moments.
Right, so top 5 of the week then. Matt has Batman at number 1, Aquaman at number 2, at number 3 he's got Superman. So Superman made his top 5 this week, so he'll be happy about that. Number 4 is Batman Who Laughs, and number 5 for him is Green Lanterns. What's your top 5?
Do you know what? I don't know. For the first time in a long time, I'm not even sure what my number 1 is. I think I think that a lot of the books are very close this week for me, which is unusual. Usually I can at least get 1 or 2 before I get to that point. But here I'm jumping between 3 of them already for the top spot, where I'm going, which ones?
I can't fault the difficulty.
I think think I'll give number 1 to Batman, and then number 2 to Batman Who Laughs, purely because the aspect of Batman Who Laughs, which I thought undermined some of the beats.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think that would have been top. Number 3, I think, goes to Green Lanterns. Number 4, Nightwing. And number 5, I think I'm actually going to put Justice League at number 5 for finally doing something interesting at this crossover and having some good moments and some fun at the end.
Okay. I actually am putting Super Sons at number 1.
No, fair enough.
I think I'm giving Super Sons the number 1 spot. Then Batman at number 2, and then number 3. This is a tough week actually. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of.
It's really close together, isn't it?
Yeah. Number 3, I think. Green Lanterns. Number 4. Batman Who Laughs, and number 5. Oh God. I'm left with Nightwing and Aquaman for this 5th spot, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I felt really bad not putting Aquaman on mine, but Justice League just did something interesting enough.
I think it'll edge out to Nightwing, but I feel really bad about leaving Aquaman off. I feel really bad about it. I want people to know that. Yeah,
no, Aquaman was a great issue. I think it's really hard this week, much harder than usual.
Yeah. So just to sum up, because I pause when I'm thinking. I just wanted to sum up.
Yeah.
So Super Sons at number 1, number 2 is Batman, number 3 is Green Lanterns, number 4 is Batman Who Laughs, and number 5 is Nightwing. So, no, solid week for books. I feel like last week there was like half the books where I was really kind of negative on.
Yeah, you had a bit of an off week, didn't you?
Yeah. Whereas this week I feel like no, I actually like even the weakest, which would have been.
Maybe Batwoman?
Yeah, Batwoman. Yeah, Batwoman probably. And then,
Batwoman or maybe Superman might have been the weakest, which is saying something.
And then Superman and Justice League would have been right sort of above it. But even then, they weren't. Everything was good.
No, I think there was a lot of good to very good books here, but I don't think there was anything like, oh, this is amazing. This is really great. Yeah. But it was a very solid, consistent week.
Yeah, so, and obviously you can't pick it, but if you could, obviously Red Hood would be number 1 for you. So,
Joe, I did consider it for cover. I think it has a really nice, it's a plain black with the Bizarro S.
I don't think you can pick it for cover.
I know. Yeah. That's why I didn't, but I considered saying it anyway.
Yeah, it's not in this week's books, but yeah,
it's a really simple but nicely designed cover. I have to give it that.
Yeah. Oh, also that reminds me actually, something else I need to get up before we go. Is the deadline for this month's vote for the 5th week ended yesterday, so I've got that to announce. I'd forgotten until this very moment, so I'm just going to check and see what the
convenient,
result is.
Wasn't it?
Well, it's nice time. This is when I would be announcing it. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, convenient. You didn't wait for another 10 minutes and be like, oh no, now we're going to go back in.
So the winner. And the book that we'll be doing, and just to explain this, when we have a 5th Wednesday, obviously you have books every Wednesday, and some months will have a 5th, and DC doesn't really plan for that in the sense that their regular books fit a 4-week structure, they fit a 4-week schedule. So every so often there's a 5th week, and on those 5th weeks we'll get a few annuals. Actually, this month's actually quite busy 5th week, but regardless,
a lot of the Prestige minis launching.
There's 4 annuals and 2 Prestige books on the 5th week this month. But regardless, we for the 5th week, because it's a bit later, we'll do a trade or a graphic novel of some kind, and we'll let our patrons vote. So the $5 patrons and up get to vote on that. And the winner of this month's vote for this 5th week book is actually Wonder Woman: The Circle by Gail Simone. So that's what we'll be talking about. Me and Matt specifically, I think, because that's Connor's missing that weekend.
Which is annoying, because I've owned that trade for a good while, and I've never read it.
Yeah. Oh, there's a good chance that episode will be a different day of the week, or a vastly different time, because it looks like we're going to have to shuffle around to even get an episode done at all, because Matt's also got something planned that day. So
mine was planned first, so I get precedence.
Look for a wacky scheduling on that 5th week, but that's the winner. So Wonder Woman: The Circle is what we'll be doing. So yeah, you can look forward to that. So that has been episode 78 of Comics from the Multiverse. You can let us know what you thought of the books in the comments below.
You could tell us what we have next week.
I could. Well, see, at least you told me quickly this time. Last time I forgot. You waited till I'd done every plug. And
yeah, it was funnier then. But I'm tired. It's late. I want to go to bed.
You want to go to bed? Okay. Coming next week, we have the main event, not only of the week, not only of the month, maybe of the year. Doomsday Clock #1 begins.
Do you know what I'm a little concerned about?
What?
That the reviews go public on the 21st.
Oh God.
And I'm scared of spoilers because we all know what happened when the review embargo for Rebirth hit.
Yeah, we all knew before we read it. That is so annoying. Like, are they going to do that for every issue? That is going to be so goddamn.
I don't know, but I know because I know they sent the reviewers. Obviously, they sent all the review copies out. They sent them a box of like pancake mix, like Watchmen pancake mix with it.
That's just
this feels like you're buying votes.
This is just coercing reviews. Like, here's some pancake mix. Now give us 5 stars.
Eat some pancakes while you read this issue. You'll thank us.
So we got Doomsday Clock #1 next week. Obviously, the big start, big 12-issue series, Rebirth stuff, sequel to Watchmen. Which, by the way, our monthly bonus episode for patrons will be Watchmen, which will be going up before next Wednesday. It might be Tuesday. It might be the very day before. But the whole point is we're going to have it done before we read Doomsday Clock #1. Which
how much have you got read so far?
4 out of 12.
Yeah, I've done 10 now.
Oh, so you're good to go. Here's the thing, though. We actually have to avoid spoilers until we record that at the very least, because we can't talk about that book with knowing where it's going. No, we can't. So and I'm concerned that I will accidentally see spoilers because Twitter is a prick. Twitter is awful in that sense. But at the very least, we have to avoid spoilers until we've talked about Watchmen, because we can't know what's in issue 1 before we record that, because I feel like that would just kind of ruin the speculation. We know a couple of things that are in issue 1 based on what they have publicly released. Oh yeah, there was a preview obviously back at I think it was New York Comic Con. Yeah, that is all we know at this moment. But so yeah, we should have to try and keep spoiler free at least until we've recorded that. So that'll be going up next week too. So you can look forward to that. So yeah, that's episode 78. Actually, no, I didn't tell you the rest of the books. I've only told you about Doomsday Clock. Yeah, you got to do nothing else matters. Nothing else matters, just Doomsday Clock. Also coming next week is Action Comics 992, Detective Comics 969, Wonder Woman 35, The Flash 35, Batgirl 17, and Teen Titans 14. Also, we have the start of a mini, an Etrigan mini, which was meant to be out last week, but it got pushed. And that is the Demon Hell is Earth #1. So you can get that next week. Whether we cover that is up in the air. I feel like Connor might be the one who goes out of his way to try it. I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'll have time, but I definitely want to read it at some point. Also out next week, but we will not be covering because we've dropped these at various points. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps #33, Batman Beyond 14, Blue Beetle 15, Justice League of America 19, Hellblazer 16, and Suicide Squad #30. There's a lot we don't read. Did you mention Nightwing: The New Order when you were shouting through your books? I didn't catch it. Yes. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, issue 4 of that's next week as well. I don't know why I've not got that actually. That's weird. Yeah. So see, it's hard to keep up some because obviously the list that we publicly see on Diamond is all alphabetical. You jump around a bit, so it's trying to catch it. I typically have it in order that we'll do it on the show. Yeah, exactly. Typically. So it's just sometimes where I'll be like, did you say that? Because obviously I can't check them in order. It's obviously I can always change it last minute, what the order's going to be depending on things, but typically it's in an order of what we do it in. But no, so that is actually an end now to episode 78 of Comics from the Multiverse. We appreciate you sticking around. Like, subscribe, rate us on iTunes and whatever. All of it helps. Of course, look out for the DC TV podcast we do called Television from the Multiverse. That is just me and Connor. Usually, Matt's not missing from that this week. He's just never there. But we talk about if you get that on an audio feed, please try and refresh your feed. People who got it through iTunes for the audio feed should be fine. It should have switched over, but the seamless transition that we were promised did not happen. So if you are expecting new episodes, unsubscribe and then resubscribe. That's what seems to fix it on various podcast apps that people use. There was someone on Twitter was talking to us about it this week, and that fixed the issue for him. So in case you're in the same boat, you can do the same thing. So that goes up late Sundays. We talk about Supergirl, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. So
For some reason.
For some reason, Arrow. Yeah, I know. So that is us. So if you want to support us on Patreon.com, go over to there. Mail Fuzz TV on there. You know, we pretty much mentioned everything you get comics wise throughout the show in some capacity. But
the real thing you want this week is Watchmen. We're gonna dive deep.
Are we? I feel like you're overhyping it now.
No. I've got things to say.
Oh God! All right. I need to go and read like some like thesis on Watchmen now, just so I feel like I'm prepared and I can make Connor look a fool.
Please don't.
I'm going to bring in like various like theories, like literature theories.
I'm going to go and find Alan Moore, and he's going to guest star. That damn magician will appear through some sort of magic.
Yeah, right.
Look, I just need to figure out the right summoning ritual.
If we mention Doomsday Clock once, he's going to rage and like smash everything in the room.
Yeah, he is.
Because that's you know he's not a happy man.
Bastard.
He's not a happy man that his characters have been used. But that's something we'll probably talk about in the Watchmen video. So there you go. That is us. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. It means loads to us. This has been a loopier episode because we're both a bit more tired.
Yeah, Matt to rein us in.
Next week is he's the one who reins us in. Next week we should be back to relative normalcy, and then we'll be back to being a weird schedule for the following week 5. But then we should be back to normal for some of December. Obviously, it gets a bit wackier at Christmas, depending on when Christmas falls.
Yeah, but we'll figure something out. We'll let you know when we know.
It may not be too bad this year. This year's better than last year, I think. Just based on what day Christmas falls on. But whatever, it's fine. So thanks once again, guys. We always appreciate it. Love you loads. Keep reading comics, and always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.